at anything O&L design in like 2 or 3 years. It's kind of that's why I was kind of looking forward to your lecture, man. We gotta make that happen sooner rather than later. Why are people texting?
Yeah.
Oh, they're not. They're fucking with the modular Tumblr. Oh, I need to turn off notifications for that. Anyway, shall we begin?
I think so.
All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Modular Components. It is that time of the year, folks. It's the end of the year. It's time to count down our top 10 toys that we bought, not that came out, in the year 2022. Hello, I am the Vacuuminator. I am one of the people on this channel who buys way too many toys, and I am joined by the other person who buys way too many toys, Snowcone 83. How you doing, Cody?
I'm doing pretty good. I have bought maybe too many toys.
Mm-hmm.
I know you saw what I bought yesterday.
Yeah,
And
that was quite the haul.
It was quite the haul, and I can't decide if I bought too much or if I kind of just was playing catch up. Because truth be told,
honestly.
Yeah, truth be told, I actually didn't get a lot of stuff this year, and I'll get into that. I mean, I got stuff. We both know I got stuff.
Do you have like a rough estimate of how much you bought this year? Because I know you told me you didn't keep track, but could you like tell me like a rough number?
No, because that'll just make it seem like I'm lying.
Okay. Well,
hang on,
I did keep track, and I was checking while I made the list, my top 10 this year. I was going through the list of everything I bought this year, and I decided just for shits and giggles to tally it up. The exact number of individual releases I bought, this is counting multi-packs as one figure. The number of individual releases I bought is 241.
Yeah, I mean, so if I really had to try to count, I wouldn't even know. Because like almost every single G.I. Joe release this year.
Yeah.
Are we going to count Hot Wheels? Are we going to count the Ultimate Muscle guys that I bought? Are we going to count the individual purchases? If you literally want to do that, I'm fucked and I can't count it because like I buy Hot Wheels like all the time when I walk into. I bought Lego Mixels. I almost completed not my collection, but like the entire series that they ever released. And I was missing like 4 series, and there's like 9 individual characters per series, and I bought all of those. So like that's a fuck ton.
See, this is why I love you, Cody, and this is why I think we're going to be friends for a long time. You genuinely make me feel better about myself, because I've spent the last 2 weeks going, man, I gotta scale it back next year. I spent like all my spare money on toys, and I bought all this crap. This is way too much, and now here you are just going off.
Well, yeah, because I mean, like, what I bought like an entire wave of I completed an entire wave of Lego minifigures, which I've never done before.
Yeah,
I bought so many Lego sets.
I mean, it is worth noting you this year you started making significantly more than I do on a month-to-month basis, which is pretty good. Congrats on that.
Well, it's like yes and no.
Mm-hmm.
Because whenever I got the Hawthorne job, it kind of like really hindered me. I kind of actually cut. So I guess that'll be interesting to get into because I've made purchases, and I probably ended up. I have probably ended up buying more things than you did, but I'm not really sure how we're gonna get into that.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just kind of trying to open up with a little bit of general talk about the year, because it has been a really interesting year as far as releases go, because there's just been like so many figures that have that finally factor of like, finally it feels like we have a as close to perfect as we really need version of this character. I don't want to get too far into that because that might be spoiling our lists a little bit, but there's quite a few of those on my list. There's been sort of a an eke away from the overwhelming onslaught of 80s nostalgia into more so 90s nostalgia, and even a little bit of 2000s starting to seep in, and that's been really interesting. And also, like, the world opened back up, so companies like Hasbro and Mattel have been getting way more active in interacting with fans in person and revealing things more piecemeal-esque. And there's been some newcomers on the scene that have gotten a sort of name made for them in the industry. Like Jada Toys is not a company I looked at all until this year when they started making super articulated action figures. And like I still haven't bought anything from them, but everything they're making looks super interesting.
Yeah, that's true. And is Jada? What is it specifically that Jada's doing for you?
They're the thing they have me most interested in is their Mega Man line, but like I've been
Okay.
keeping an eye on them since they announced the first wave of Universal Monsters. And I knew about them all. I knew about them already, but I wasn't like following them just because they've been in the diecast car game for years, and then they moved into diecast figures. And I had one of their sets of diecast figures because there was a Supergirl figure in it. And I also saw when they announced those Power Ranger diecast remote control cars. I never bought them, but it was an article I had to grab and talk about on Twit for 5 seconds, I think.
Fair enough. Yeah, I've been watching the Mega Man figures. I'm gonna just tell you right now, I'm definitely getting involved with those. I just haven't really felt the opportunity to do so.
Yeah. I was actually watching an interview with their current lead designer last night, and he was running down like all the stuff that they can show that's in pre-production right now. And those Street Fighter figures look really interesting, even as somebody
Yeah.
who does not care about Street Fighter at all.
Yeah, no, the it's gonna be hard to resist M Bison.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm not mistaken, didn't they release a glow in the dark swamp or not swamp thing? Ya boy, creature from the Black Lagoon as part
I
of the
think
Universal
so too.
Monsters.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah. Oh yeah, here he is. There he is.
Mhm.
Yep.
There's also like one of the characters in the Street Fighter line in the second wave. There's going to be like an obscure character who I'd never heard of before, and he has stretchy powers. So they gave him option parts of
Ooh.
alternate super long arms that have bendy wires in them.
I don't know that we can consider him an obscure character because he's kind of like one of the OG like lineup.
Okay, well, I should say that's how they worded it. They're like every wave is going to be two mainstays and one obscure character.
Fair enough, I guess. I mean, he's not Ryu and Ken, so I guess.
He's not Chung-Li, he's not Cammy, he's not Mbussin, so is what it is. Anything that like you have kind of cottoned on to in the last year?
Yeah. It would be spoiler territory.
Okay.
But let me think a little bit more about it. This year I did start dating someone, and I still am dating them. We started getting Pokemon cards.
Oh.
Yeah, so that's a whole nother fucking thing. See, that's what I'm saying. That's not a toy, I mean, collector card, whatever. We cannot.
Games are a form of toy, but they're not like toys.
As far if we keep it to like new shit, yeah, I'd say there's two things that have kind of caught on. Like one of them, we can kind of make the argument of whether or not it truly caught on because I've only made 2 purchases from them. But one of them I went overboard really fast and never stopped. And then there's I had a lot of stuff I got this year that was like old. You might have remembered, and this isn't spoiling anything. The Ultimate Muscle figures and the Digimon figures I found at Second and Charles, which I've always
weren't you
been
showing us
with.
those at the summit?
I showed you a little bit of the Ultimate Muscle figures that were sitting on the ground. But we did go over them and we like talked about them in a couple podcasts and stuff like that. Because when I found the Ultimate Muscles loose, I then found somebody selling them. Like I have 4 like fucking. Let me walk over there. How many fucking figures comes in these goddamn packs? 15.
Like 10. Oh, okay. I was about to say 10.
4 15-pack Ultimate Muscle figures, and these are from like 2001, I think.
And these were like sealed, right?
Yeah, they're still sealed. I don't think I can.
Oh,
I really don't think
boy.
I can open them. But that's also in part because I got a bunch of them that were open, and I don't really need to open those. And then I have one additional thing that the guy gave me for free. That was Ultimate Muscle trading card pack that came with hidden micro muscle wrestler. And it could be one of 4 actual wrestlers. I already know. I don't know what's in this box, but I know what it could be, and they're all translucent in special edition, and they're cool. And I do want to know, but I don't know if I could open that packaging.
Yeah, fair enough. But I should also say this year has been a very kind of eye-opening year for me, because I didn't realize how tunnel visioned I've kind of become as a collector, where like I'm very hyper focused on current 6-inch super articulated stuff, and like I love that stuff, but there is so much else to the toy industry besides that, and I didn't even realize that until like 2 things kind of gradually happened. Well, one thing gradually happened, one thing kind of immediately happened over the course of the year. One was having my nephew around more. He spends most Fridays and Saturdays with us now, and he's only a year old, so like he's got actual baby toys and shit. And I didn't realize actual baby toys have gotten kind of cool, man. Like there's a lot of cool little tricks and stuff that they've come up with to keep those tykes entertained. Like I brought him a freaking Leapfrog toy remote control for Christmas, and before I wrapped it, I legit had 10 minutes where I was just pressing all the buttons to see what it did.
That does remind me, because I think it technically is a child's toy. Well, that's stupid to say because everything we're about to talk about is a fucking child's toy, right? Yeah.
No. Toy collecting is serious business for adults, Mom.
But these things are like on the pink aisles and stuff like that, and those are the I think they're called like Squinkies or whatever. I showed you guys those.
Oh yeah.
The little fidget toy animals.
Those are neat.
I do like those. They're fun to just fuck around with. Because I have an absolute shortage of things that I could just like fiddle with in my room. Absolutely just barren when it comes to that kind of stuff.
That's the other thing, the kind of immediate thing, was just actually standing in your room. I had a moment where I just felt like overwhelmed by like, oh god, there's so much about the toy industry I don't know. Like, I know a lot about a few specific sects, and that makes me feel like an expert, but then I walk into your room and I'm like, good god, I have a long way to go.
And I would say that my collection, a lot of the shit is so severely niche. And it kind of bleeds into each other a lot with like themes and stuff like that. Like I got G.I. Joe Micro Machines and Marvel Micro Machines and Star Wars Micro Machines.
But like I didn't even know they made G.I. Joe Micro Machines until I went in your room. And that's kind of the thing, is there was a lot of little things like that of like, oh wow, this is what this actually looks like. Okay. Like I'd heard, you told me of Zebos. You had shown me pictures of Zebos. I didn't understand what they actually felt like as a physical object until just this last couple months. So it's been a wild kind of expansion year. That being said, I will just go ahead and say most of my list is modern 6-inch super articulated stuff, just because that's most of what I bought this year. I bought a few vintage things here and there, and I'll mention most of them. But for the most part, it is stuff that either came out this year or last year, just because that's what hits it for me. If you make a really good modern toy that looks like a thing I had or wanted when I was a kid, it's going to make my brain do a happy.
That is fair. One other thing I do want to mention now, and it'll come up a couple times. Sitting here now and having pulled a lot of this stuff out, even though it's kind of always been out, like I'd say throughout the year, it kind of felt like I hyper-focused more than normal, because I was, mainly focusing on the next Transformers release and then the next G.I. Joe release. And like I was pre-ordering, or I was prioritizing G.I. Joe over everything, believe it or not. I'll go ahead and say it right now because I don't even think it's a fucking spoiler. G.I. Joe figures, I think the Classified series line for me is my favorite thing I'm collecting right now.
Oh, hell yeah.
And I love Transformers. Like, always have loved Transformers, but I think, like, regardless of, like, that deep-rooted love of,
Transformers has consistently been here for most of our lives, is the thing. G.I. Joe disappeared for a while, And then
That's
it
true.
came back, and it's got like this small group of super enthusiastic people working on it at Hasbro, and we get to hear from them on regular intervals. So it's like this feedback of you get excited for a thing, and then you see how excited the people who are making the things are for the things, and then you get the things, and it's like, holy shit, this is an amazing thing.
Yep. Yep. That's completely true. You know, I mean that's the other thing too. Like, and Classified didn't start this year. It started 2020 technically. Um,
But it hit
but
its stride this year, I think.
oh, I would agree. It to be completely honest, it was kind of hard. I think if I wanted to be maybe not as hard as I'm thinking, but like there was a moment where there's a couple moments where I was like, I could make a top 10 list and it'd just be Classified figures, just about. I could
Same. I
straight
had
up.
that with Classified and Marvel Legends. Marvel Legends had a lot of great releases this year, but we'll get into that as the lists go on.
Yeah.
Uh,
But the thing I was going to hit on is, and it's interesting you said I started making more money because, like, until I got to this new job, it really didn't feel like that. And I've only been at this new job for 3 months almost. So most
well,
of the year,
isn't that because you were spending like a dumb amount of time and money on the commute for your previous job?
well, that and like my previous job when I became the manager of it, um, I got like if I would have stayed at that job and completed the year, more than likely I would have finished this year out at around $26,000.
Mm.
And the year before, I had 41.
Oh, okay.
So, and that's
That's
why I left when
unfortunate.
I did. And that was the thing. I canceled so many pre-orders.
Yeah. This
Yeah,
year's
and
kind of turned me and I think a lot of other people off of pre-ordering, to be honest.
yeah, and we don't have to get too much into it, but like, you know, I made a little bit of a separate list because I was going through and looking at what really came out this year and looking at what I didn't get that I wanted. And what I was trying to get yesterday, actually. Because there were some things that I really had to like make decisions of, or like there was some things where like either there were certain things that came out months early and immediately shipped, and
Mhm.
Hasbro didn't notify anybody. And it's all Hasbro, truthfully. It literally is all Hasbro. Um,
Yeah, that Hasbro has been making great shit this year, but they've been kind of fucking up as far as PR wise, and they've had a few quality control issues here and there, I think.
See, I don't even think it's fucking up. What they know is that when they tell us that something is shipping early, people usually cancel it because most of us try to plan out what we're going to spend as it comes out. And when
Yeah.
they tell me something's going to come out in 2023, like a lot of the stuff that I'm have sitting in front of me, um, I expect that's going to happen and be like, okay, well, you know, I'm going to be spending that kind of money around this month. Nope, surprise, I'm spending that money tomorrow. Oh, wow. How
Yeah.
interesting is that?
That's why like I literally had a moment last month where I realized certain things were shipping early and I was looking at like the the dates they were originally scheduled for compared to the dates they were actually shipping. And I realized like, oh, this thing, and the Daredevil free pack are all gonna ship within the next month and a half. I'm
Yeah.
gonna cancel these other two things so that I can afford to get the Daredevil free pack because that's what I really want. And I think after that, I'm just done pre-ordering shit for at least a long time. And the only exceptions are going to be if either Medicom announces a Supergirl Mayfex or Mezco announces a 112 Collective Supergirl. Because those companies never ship early. They always delay their shit by like 3 months to 4 years. Where the hell is 89 Batman? I don't know. I don't care. I didn't pre-order it, but it's still kind of hilarious. And also, like, I know I won't have to worry too much. I can plan around those companies, and like I know the actual shit when I get
Yeah.
it will be super high quality. And to be honest, that's at this point, like I've kind of accepted the fact that anything I want, I will be able to find it again. I may have to pay a little more, but I will be able to find it again. The only thing that like I would not be able to wait on is if one of those two companies announced a Supergirl figure, because I know that would just automatically be the new best Supergirl figure ever, because those lines have been consistently amazing.
And you know what? That is kind of one of the other things too, as far as canceling stuff for me. Before it would feel like if we cancel it, it's gone forever, never happening again. You're gonna have to pay 4 times the amount of it. You know, like Early classified.
Oh
Even though it
god.
was all good. Like, yeah, holy shit, Major
And
Blood.
I
Like,
remember I remember finding Wave 1 in the Walmart by my work and being like, I don't get paid for 2 more days. I am hiding these in the hunting section.
like, and it's been insane. It's been absolutely insane. It's been a wild ride, but we don't have to focus on the super negatives
Yeah,
because we do have a bunch of shit.
let's get into the positives. So, obviously it's a top 10. We each have 10 picks and we have I have 5 honorable mentions. Did you go with 5 as well?
Yeah, I have 5 honorable mentions because I remember you saying that.
So we will do our honorable mentions after we each do our number 5s. And I went back and checked last year's list. You went first last year, so is it all right with you if I go first this year?
yeah, I wanted to go and look at last year's list too, but I couldn't fucking figure it out fast enough.
Yeah, I fucking YouTube search has gotten real shitty this year. I had to like go to the channel page and scroll for a bit. But my number 10 is going to be Hasbro G.I. Joe Classified number 53 Sergeant Slaughter. I I have a few very specific things with G.I. Joe, and one of them is Sergeant Slaughter. I got into G.I. Joe with Valor versus Venom, and later kind of had a dalliance with it during Renegade's live action movie time. But one of the things that kind of initially got me back into G.I. Joe as an adult collector was just watching clips of Sergeant Slaughter in the Sunbow cartoon on YouTube. Like, I thought he was such a badass that it was hilarious, and for a while I did not even know he was a real wrestler, because I didn't become a wrestling fan until just a few years ago. And so there was a point, like maybe a year before that, where I found out he was a wrestler, and I was like, what? What? And people were like, you didn't know that? And I was like, no, I thought he was just the best G.I. Joe. And then I actually got into wrestling, and I started watching his matches, and I got to meet him at a convention, and that's still one of my favorite photos of myself, is me in the Cobra Clutch, meeting, I think his name is Ron Remus, his real name, at a convention. And he was a super nice dude too, and he still seems that way in all his interviews and stuff he does now, and has done in the last year for Hasbro promoting this thing. And this is pretty much my perfect Sergeant Slaughter. Like, I'm really glad I never caved on any of the Mattel WWE ones or the Action Force ones. Like, a lot of those looked like good figures, but none of them looked like dead-on Sunbow cartoon, but through a realistic action figure filter as this does. Like, this is my mind's eye of Sergeant Slaughter. I know they've said there might be more figures of him in Classified in the future, but I am perfectly happy with this. The one thing you could maybe add to it is a saluting hand, but like, I'm sure as soon as they have that tooling, it's going to come with more figures. So I'm not going to buy another Sergeant Slaughter just to get a saluting hand. I love the sculpt. I love the deco choices they made. The fact that he comes with his hat and glasses and whistle, and they're all removable, and the likeness is just dead on. The riding crop is a really neat, unique accessory. And while I don't think I'll ever pose him with it, I love the AK-47 he comes with. It looks so realistic. I think there was a moment when I took it out of the box and I just stared at it for a bit, because the AK-47, I'm not much of a gun guy, but the AK-47 is probably up there as like one of my favorite guns. It's just really iconic in my opinion. And guy comes with a freaking action figure of himself on a resealable blister card, and it's actually got like almost the same amount of deco as he himself does. That is buck wild, and I can't wait to do some figure photography stuff with that. I haven't had a lot of time for figure photography in the last couple months, but this guy is pretty high up on my to-do list when I get some free time over the Christmas break. So yeah, love this guy. Very, very happy with him, and he brings he's the most recent G.I. Joe acquisition I have, aside from the figure you got me for Christmas that I have not opened yet, which is being counted towards 2023's list. I should say that I know most of what I'm getting for Christmas this year, and we're recording this on the 16th, So all my Christmas stuff, I'm just counting towards next year. But this guy has brought me one step closer to having my G.I. Joe collection right where I need it to be. So he is number 10.
Very cool. Does that make it my turn?
Yes, it does.
Pretty interesting. My number 10 is G.I. Joe Classified number, what's that fucking box? 57, Serpentor.
Hey!
I mean, you have them too. I know you know.
You middlemaned him for me. Thank you again, by the way.
Yeah, of course. This figure is fantastic. It's almost more the glider than it is the figure, but the figure is fucking... God, I love it.
I'll say straight out, he's not on my list. The only reason I didn't put him on my list is because it's more the glider than it is the figure for me. Like, I love that glider. It is so freaking cool. But like, if they had just released the guy and not made the glider, I think I might have passed on him, to be honest.
Ooh. So, but for me, I've always had I have the Toys R Us special edition Armadillo tank versus Serpentor's Air Chariot 3 3/4 inch 2-pack for the 25th anniversary that they did.
Yeah.
And I've always thought the character was cool because I used to watch the cartoon a lot, and the movie and everything like that. And I always loved the chariot, the little tiny chariot. It's funny looking at it over there because it's behind Destro in the box, and the 6-inch figures are just so much bigger than the old, the 3 3/4 inch.
Yeah.
But to talk about the vehicle a little bit, it's fucking perfect. It's better than it could have been.
Mm-hmm. I love how people were going like, oh yeah, they could make it. It's about the size of a motorcycle. And when you actually get it in hand, it's like the size of 2.5 motorcycles.
Oh no, yeah, they did it correctly somehow.
It's because they made it a Pulse exclusive and $80.
Yeah, but it is big. It's a big boy.
Yeah.
And this is the start of a beautiful collection of G.I. Joe figures, vehicle figures.
Mm-hmm.
But also, I love just the accessories he comes with. I love the gauntlet. I love the snake and the serpent fucking staff.
Yeah. Getting the little actual Cobra to go with your G.I. Joe Zoo.
Yeah. I think the sword's pretty cool, but I think the snake javelin is probably the funniest accessory we've seen in the classified line so far.
Yeah. Oh man, I can't wait to get what's his fucking face, Duke's half brother, and remake that scene.
Yeah. And I kind of went back and forth between either this or Major Blood, or not Major Blood, Dr. Mindbender. But I went Serpentor because I think it's a more impressive thing. They really dialed it in. The cape is phenomenal. The texture, the multiple textures on this figure are great, and the fact that he has the interchangeable headpiece thing / cowl behind him so you could pose his head is just phenomenal. And he is really big. He's
like the size of a McFarlane figure, I've been told.
Yeah, I'm looking at him standing next to another figure that's pretty much the standard size, and he really does make it seem out of scale. I know he's supposed to be big, and I'm completely fine with that. A lot of people I've seen complaining about G.I. Joes not being all the same height, which is fucking stupid, because that's not how people work.
That's cool. That's one of my favorite things about the line is they have relative scale for the characters.
Yeah. The G.I. Joe or the Transformers line has been prioritizing that too, and people still complain about that. I'm not going to complain about a Bumblebee being, almost 2 inches tall or something like that. With
Why
the
is
amount
this
of engineering
leader so short? I don't know. Why did you guys complain about the size charts for 6 years?
Yeah, and just imagine if we'd have a Spider-Man and a Wolverine standing next to each other and they're the same size.
Yeah.
Get out of my face. No, that's not how that works. But anyways, yeah, that's my number 10.
Nice.
I think it really sits there properly. Like you said, or we're saying, it's whooshable as fuck when he's on the glider. But
yeah, I don't remember if we got that on recording, but there was a moment where because he had been living on my desk for quite a while. I'm actually in the process of redoing my shelves this weekend. But there was a moment where I had to take him off my desk to do something, and I was just going to take him and set him on my bed, but I picked him up and legitimately just turned into an 8-year-old and started whooshing him around for a couple minutes.
Yep. Because it's cool. And you could pull the 50 cals off and give Roadblock what he's supposed to have.
Yeah.
But
I gotta get that Amazon Roadblock. That's one thing I missed this year. I missed most of the Amazon exclusives I wanted.
Fun fact, that came out in 2021.
Oh my god!
And I didn't get it until like a couple months ago. And granted,
yeah, it's
at
still
first
up
it was
there. I
selling
could
out.
go and buy it right now. I just don't have the cash.
Yeah. And because like that was one of those things. That was like one of the things that started changing. When it first got announced, it was just sold out immediately. It got restocked, sold out immediately, restocked again, sold out immediately. And then it's maintained in stock on Amazon for the last couple of months, and I finally picked it up.
And now there's Target exclusives that'll just sit in stock for a couple days.
Which is insane. Well, now there's Target exclusives sitting on the fucking Target shelves in droves.
Yeah, boy!
Except for the one that I wanted, which is the Officer, who I can't find.
I thought you wanted the bat. Did you find the bat?
Yeah, I have the bat. There's like 40 bats at my Target.
Okay, I didn't remember seeing you post a picture of it. Was it in that haul and I just didn't notice it?
No, it wasn't in the haul. It was in the picture with, because I actually got that through Pulse.
Oh yeah, I can see it. It's in the background of one of your Bushranger photos.
Oh yeah, I did push him to the background of one of the Bushranger photos. But he was in the picture I took where it was like, well, let me just post it in the end.
By the way, folks, if you're wondering about all the photos we're referencing, because Cody doesn't use Instagram for toys anymore, you can go join Boingo's Discord server. Link in the description of some fucking show we've done. Any of the shows he's on.
I do still I guess I haven't posted a whole lot of toy photography lately. I've been taking toy photography photos. I think I've just been literally forgetting to post them. Because I sure didn't post any. Because I kind of went to Instagram expecting to find. Yeah, here we go. I took them in this picture. I'm posting it on Boingo's server.
Okay.
Because I had all my bats and Tomax and Zaymont, Storm Shadow.
That's real nice.
And
I like how Dr. Mindbender looks like he's posing for the cover of a magazine.
Oh yeah, that's the only way I'm posing them. Every time I like put my hands on them, it's great.
Nice.
That's literally what I did. I took a lot of like glam shots of Mindbender. And I really haven't played with them too much. Also, my Mindbender does have staining on his arms, but I didn't really care about it. A lot of people are getting the figure replaced.
But I feel like a lot of people haven't bought wrestling figures before, because that's like a very common thing on wrestling figures, and those people tend to just accept it.
Yeah. Like, I saw it, and I was like, whatever, I could take that off myself with, like, acetone, probably.
Yeah, and that's the fix everybody's been posting, too, is like, hey, acetone exists.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, because sometimes figures have, like, paint splotches and stuff.
It does happen. But, do you, sir, have anything else to say about Serpentor?
He's got snitties.
Yeah, boy.
And a snod piece. That's it.
Alright. My number 9... See, for my number 10, I did a figure I just recently got. My number 9 is a figure I got all the way back at the start of the year. It is the Hasbro Transformers Generations War for Cybertron Trilogy Kingdom Voyager Blaster. I have a sordid history with Blaster. Blaster has one of my favorite scenes in the 86 movie. I love that scene where Soundwave sends the cassettes after him and Perceptor, and then we see for the first time that actually Blaster has cassettes too. And I have wanted a really good Blaster and a really good Soundwave ever since I saw that scene as a kid. And at the time, the only figures that could be considered really good of them that existed were the G1s. And I actually had a G1 Soundwave for a little bit, ended up having to sell it because of money issues. But I've been searching for a good Generations version of the both of them for a really long time. I had the Titans Return Blaster when it came out, and I did really like that figure, but more as like its own thing. I didn't see it as like G1 Blaster. This figure, however, is an almost perfect G1 Blaster. There's like some minor kibble issues, but overall, like articulation, sculpt, alt mode, this is about as close to perfect as you could get. I love the look of him. He was the first thing I got this year that really had that, oh, finally factor to him. Of like, I've been wanting a good Blaster and a good Perceptor for a really long time, and I got this boy, and I'm like, this is great. Only real problem with him is that they gave him eject, and eject is entirely made out of clear plastic, and he's already showing stress marks on a lot of people's copies, including mine. So I'm like, okay, especially recently, I've been like, okay, so you did the Blue Rumble, you're gonna do Studio Series Core Class cassettes. Could we get a non-clear plastic eject and like the rest of Blaster's cassettes, please and thank you? That would make me real happy. But yeah, otherwise this guy is great, and I really like him. He makes me happy.
That's a really good pick. I did get that figure as well. I've always loved Blaster, and I mean honestly, like I don't have the connection you do to the character. I just like him, and I thought he was great. Just like the Netflix Soundwave, who's somewhere up there.
Yeah.
Which apparently a lot of people had trouble finding, which sucks.
All the Netflix figures for Siege were pretty hard to find, as I understand it. I found Soundwave, like, I want to say a week after he started showing up, and I only saw him that one time. I saw Bumblebee a couple of times, but it took a lot of driving around until I saw him and got him that first time. And those are the only two Siege figures I really wanted out of the Netflix assortment.
Yeah. I'm trying to figure out, so did Kingdom, I thought Kingdom finished up in 21.
Kingdom finished in Kingdom released its last wave in like December, January. I found Blaster like the 2nd or 3rd day of January.
Yeah, I got him from Pulse, I think. But anyways, yeah, that's whatever. I don't really have. Well, yeah, I guess it's not a spoiler. I don't have any Kingdom figures on my list.
Yeah, that's fair.
Which not to say that I haven't been enjoying Transformers. I buy almost every single one of them. Man, there's a lot of good ones. But well,
what's your number 9, dude?
My number 9 is one of many weird ones today.
Okay.
Biomaster's The Restructor.
What the fuck? I have never heard of this.
Yep.
I'm gonna Google this right now.
I've sent it to you before. I showed you pictures.
Okay.
I can actually send you. Let me go back because I saved it on Instagram as well. Because this is mainly where I found it. I found it on Instagram. And I lost it on Instagram. Let me search it again.
Okay, I must be spelling it wrong because this is not coming up with anything on Google.
Nope, I'll just send you exactly who it is on Instagram, okay. So watch out.
All right.
This is within the Onell Design system.
Mm-hmm.
So there is that. Here you go. But I had really never seen anything like these guys. They're fully posable, completely disassemblable, and this guy kind of really started kicking these off in his own designs this year. So this is one of those figures where it started picking up and I started getting into it. I saw people posting pictures of the 17th drop he's done. Because if you go back through, it might not make sense to your eyes, but there are a lot of figures that are shared. They share molds and stuff like that within Onell. He's done figures in this color palette before.
Oh, it's called the Restructor. You said the Destructor.
Oh, my bad. I thought I said Restructor.
But no, this thing looks cool. This looks like kind of a alien-y mecha construction man. I like him.
Yep. And if you look at his Instagram, you can see back he's been sharing molds with like the God Beast, who's another person. He does a lot more beetle-based things. He's had a lot of glow-in-the-dark releases, but I never really saw any of this. And a lot of his early releases didn't really have any paint on them. Or they would. They have minor paint and stuff like that. But this one, kind of like brand new pieces, really nice tooling. The whole thing can just be completely disassembled and turned into like absolutely crazy collections. And that was the thing. I saw the last character. I saw people that I follow on Instagram. I'm like, yo, what the fuck is this? And it sold out really fast too. I was able to get one. I had to buy it on the drop night. And that's how a lot of Onell Design stuff goes. But it was really something this year that I just got a lot of joy out of handling. Did not get a lot of joy out of putting it together because if you've ever handled an Onell Design figure, you will know that 1, and 2, just go ahead and put some water on the stove and that's how you're going to be playing with that figure for like the first like couple times.
Yeah, I used to have a small Glyos collection, but
Okay.
I got rid of them a while back just because like after I didn't keep up with it, and after a few months of only having the same stuff, it very quickly wore out its funness to me.
Yeah. And there's some of his things that I missed that I wished I could get. He had like a metallic robot, and like this drop came with like a little sludge monster dude, who I got as well. So I got one good guy or whatever and one bad guy or whatever. And they're a lot of fun. You can see some of those. I'll send this to you as well. But the yellow robot, the yellow construction robot, because like that's one of my deals. Is like you put that fucking thing in yellow caution mech, alien power loader style flavors, and I'm just like, wow, that's the best thing. There's a Zevos figure that only a single picture exists. It never got released, and it was gonna be like what I guess you'd call a leader class, like a super big box set. They only really ever did one of. That was like it was a box set where it comes with a guy on. It comes with like a punk and a robot, and the robot turns into a vehicle that he could ride. Like it
Whoa.
disassembles and turns into like a rideable vehicle. And the Zevos, you saw what scale they're on. They're roughly like 5 inches. So it's a pretty big box set. And this guy was going to be just by himself, and he was going to be like a bulldozer robot. I wish I'll never put my hands on it, and it sucks because there's that guy and another one. But anyways, like it was just one of those things that hit every single button, and I'm like, I gotta get this, and I did, and I love it. I absolutely love it. Like messing around with it, you could flip it around. One of the things they do with these kind of designs, and like as I'm sure you know with Glyos, there's a lot of pieces on these guys that are meant to like function as heads or guns or whatever. Like his crotch is actually a face pointing straight down.
Huh.
Yeah, and like the little claw thing that you see in some of the pictures actually has teeth on it. His body on the other side of it has like organic like brain bits sticking out with teeth in it. It's just kind of one of those things where you can do whatever you want with it for a very long time.
Yeah, I really like the look of this little guy. I would not mind having him, I think. Good
Yeah.
pick. Good pick. All
And
right.
I think that'll do it for me for that one.
Okay. Well, my number 8 is going to take us back to G.I. Joe. It is the Hasbro G.I. Joe Classified Series number 35, Storm Shadow. I've said this many times. Probably my favorite thing about G.I. Joe is the ninjas. I am part of the problem. And Storm Shadow is one of the best, not just G.I. Joe ninja figures, not just Storm Shadow figures, but like one of the best 6-inch ninja figures ever made, period, I think. The sculpt is beautiful and perfectly true to the character. The articulation is insane. Like there's almost no pose you can't do with this guy, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
And the weapon loadout is just perfectly simplistic. I don't care for the hood. I don't put the up hood or the down hood on him at all. I just take it off completely. But the two swords with the freaking snake head sculpted on them, the bow and the arrow and the individual arrow that fits into the backpack and looks like it's not even there, and the backpack being like an integrated quiver and sheaves for the sword is so ingenious. And I love the just little bit of added posability of giving him little belt trails on a ball joint. Like that's so neat and like something I've only ever seen in this line. Like maybe it's on like a Naruto figure somewhere or something, but I don't collect Naruto. I collect G.I. Joe. And this is a figure that like I was desperate to find when it started hitting stores, and like it got to the point where there was days where I was getting up early. I've never been this guy, but I was getting up early to go to my Walmarts to check for this wave, because this wave had a couple other figures in it that I really liked and wanted. And eventually there was a day where I found him doing that. And I literally went to work, clocked in, and then went to my little janitor's closet office and just opened him and played with him for like an hour before I did any actual work. And he's fantastic. Like I'm at a point right now where I kind of want to go completist on Classified. Like I have the movie Storm Shadow, and I'm kind of wanting to get the Amazon Storm Shadow. But this guy is another one where it's like, yeah, finally, be all end all. I don't need another one. I want more, but I don't need another Storm Shadow after this.
That's a fantastic pick for sure. That figure is amazing. That whole that specific wave too, like, is probably one of the best ones we've seen. Because that was just Storm Shadow, Spirit, Cobra Officer,
and Crocmaster was the deluxe.
Crocmaster was the deluxe, and oh my god, all those figures. Every single one of those figures has to be like a 10. I think truly.
Yeah.
And I'd say, see, like, I'm somebody who loves the different versions of Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow. I would like to see a Storm Shadow with more red in his costume, similar to like the Valor versus Venom figure.
Yeah, that would get me pretty hard if they did that.
Yeah, I would like to get that Arctic figure. It doesn't really it never hurt me that I couldn't get it because I was like, well, they're going to do a Storm Shadow. Yeah. And that really doesn't scream Storm Shadow to me for it to be the only
Shadows.
One. Yeah.
Let's be real. Storm Shadow and Snake Eyes are the Optimus Prime and Megatron of G.I. Joe. There's always going to be more figures of them.
I would disagree a little bit, strictly because Cobra Commander is such the character that he is.
Mm-hmm.
Duke might not be. I would say it'd be like Snake Eyes to. I don't know. I think Snake Eyes might be a little bit more popular than Duke, but Cobra Commander is definitely more popular than all the other ones. That is definitely simply the Megatron. I mean, he's literally like he met Megatron.
Yeah, this is a fair take. I like Coco. I was just saying, just in terms of sheer popularity, but maybe I don't know G.I. Joe fans as well as I think I do.
Yeah, and not everybody likes the ninjas, but I love all of it. I think it's a very interesting aspect of that whole thing.
That's something else I should say. This is a year where I really went from being just a guy who's like, I like parts of Cobra, but I'm really into G.I. Joe just for the ninjas, to like, I like a lot of G.I. Joe now, and I appreciate all of it. And I really have to credit the Full Force podcast. I got into that channel this year, and just like their sheer enthusiasm for the brand has kind of made me go from being like a guy who goes like, I don't know about Python Patrol and Tiger Force, to being like, yeah, those are cool designs. Those are fun. Let's get more of those in the line.
Yeah. And from a toy aspect, I've always thought that G.I. Joe was one of the best. Like, the original dolls, I had some. Not original, but I had some of those when they were releasing them. And when I was a kid, those were some of the craziest things I had, because I had like a Desert Sniper who had like a cloth goods ghillie suit, and the thing was insane. And the whole weapon disassembled and turned into like different things. I love that guy. I'd love to get him again because of how cool he was. But for me, I've always been obsessed with like the Cobra and Joe versions of it. Like, every vehicle feels like it's my favorite vehicle. It's the His Tank, but all the other ones feel like they're my favorites too. Like the crazy ass designs, and the fact that they have like guns and stuff like that. I've always been obsessed with that.
Yeah. Man, I'm still gutted I had to cancel my His Tank because of car issues.
Yeah, that does suck. I'm super. Every time I go through my Pulse and like try to like figure, because I was like trying to go through it yesterday and figure out like when I got stuff, because I thought I had.
That's another problem with Hasbro. Their freaking orders history page really needs to be revamped.
I saw some guy online post a picture of his orders, and they had JPEGs in there of like what he had pre-ordered.
What the fuck?
And even if I go on a computer, mine doesn't do that. I can't get it to do it on anything.
Yeah, I've never seen that.
Is
that like buried in settings somewhere or something?
I tried for like an hour yesterday. I really don't know. But yeah, I don't know if I didn't finish that thought.
I mean, it is your turn to do your number.
Okay.
The Storm Shadow, good. I like him. Do your number 7. Or 8?
My number 8 was actually the gift from you, technically. Even though, yeah, the Fortnite Bushranger figure. It's like Hasbro Fortnite Legendary Series, something like I
Victory
can't remember.
Royale.
Is that? I don't think that's the thing. I put the box in here somewhere. Hang on, I'll get to the bottom of this. I don't actually think it says it on the box, truthfully.
I could have sworn it was the Victory Royale collection. Let me check on Pulse right now.
No, you're right. Victory Royale series.
Okay.
So Fortnite, Hasbro Fortnite Victory Royale series Bushranger. This design. So let me give you more information than you'll ever want to know about anything in Fortnite.
Thick.
This was a character that we got to vote on, not the figure. This design as a skin in the game was something that we got to vote on.
I didn't even know Fortnite did that.
Though they do it pretty frequently. There's a lot of interesting things they do. Like though, it's kind of very surprising. I'll have to show you sometimes because like it'll literally be like an artist's rendition of a skin, and you're like, man, I wonder if it's going to look like that, and it somehow does every time. Like I will give them props on that. Like they can turn a design into a skin, and somehow it's like, oh, there's no loss in correlation between 2D to like video game asset. Sorry, got a little winded with that. But Fortnite Bushranger, the Bushranger skin was something that I voted on. Even I voted on. And I'm like, man, dude, I love this little guy. He's so whimsical, and I really hope that they reuse him. Because one thing about him is, and this is something they do cool, a little bit sidetracked on video game stuff. But Fortnite, the Bushranger skin in the game has right now 4 different color palettes, and they do change how the character looks. It goes through all the seasons. No, he has 5 because he's got one for every season, and then he's got one like mystical looking one. So he's got his all green, like spring. He's got a fall one where the leaves are all brown and like he's kind of naked, and you can see like the tree trunk body. So I'd love to see those recolors. I would get every single one of them, especially after having this figure in my hand, because this figure, even though I was excited for it to come out, the Hasbro Fortnite line. I've been buying a lot of the Fortnite figures. Actually, I think I bought a Fortnite figure from every single scale they've released. Because I have, I've got the 3 3/4 inch. I've got the Jazzwares ones they did. I have the McFarlane ones, and then I have, I think the McFarlane plastic patroller made it on my top 10 last year, didn't it? Yeah. And I still have like a couple of those, as a matter of fact. I have like one in the box hanging on the wall. And that's the thing is. The Fortnite skins are just so like they could come from anywhere that when they choose one to get turned into a figure, it might be something that we so rarely ever get somewhere else. Like, like Bushranger, for example, as a figure removed from character or whatever, there's not really any other line that has some sort of whimsical forest like treant or whatever, tree sprite, thing. And he's got a little pinecone bandolier. The articulation they squeezed into this guy is the same as what they put in the classified figures. He is minorly hindered by the like rubberized like leaf dress he has on, and the leaf beard. But I could you saw the pictures I was posting yesterday. I was just busting out all kinds of posts, all kinds of poses, and his little like stump feet have a universal like forward backward joint, and it also functions as like a rocker and everything like that, and it just works in almost any direction. He's got a bunch of like swivels throughout his legs, double jointed pinless elbows and double jointed pinless knees. He's got the drop down hips like the classified figures have. He's got a ball joint with a like little bend like the classified figures have in his waist. Again, it kind of does get hindered a little bit with like the rubberized dress he has on, and then he's got butterfly joints, and his arms and legs are sticks. The true detractor when it comes to his articulation. Let me make sure I am still recording, right?
Yeah, we're here.
Okay. The true detractor when it comes to his articulation is the head. I can't really figure out what kind of ball joint he has. It definitely is a big ball joint, I think. No kind of like barbell or anything like that going on. I can still get what I want to out of him, and it moves correctly. But that's like the only thing is like he can't look up and down too terribly, which he still can. He just can't do it like the other figures can. But I can't really ask that of a design that's a tree. It's a bush with some sticks.
I mean, if I can interject for a minute, like, I'm really glad you used my money to get that figure, because I do actually want that figure myself. I haven't gotten it yet, but that is one of those, every, like, wave of 6-inch Fortnite, there's one figure that I go, like, I wouldn't mind having that, and I could kind of fudge it into this collection or that collection. Like, I could see Bushranger being in the background of a Star Wars scene, so I could maybe fudge him into my Black Series collection. And like he just seemed like such a fun design and like a really cool little figure, and to see the fun you were having with him the other day, I was super impressed, and he's definitely one I'm going to pick up at some point whenever I finally actually take the plunge on Fortnite figures.
Yeah, and I could use this as a segue to talk about some ones that I didn't get my hands on. I never got my hand on the Man Cake deluxe release.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah, and I'm gonna try still.
Yeah. I've seen reviews of Man Cake, and he looks great.
Yeah, they really put it into this line more than I thought they ever would. You won't recognize it by name, but the deluxe Sky and Ollie, which is like the girl in like the jean jacket with like the dual clear swords. And
I saw that in person a couple times.
Yeah, and well, you saw it in person. You probably just didn't recognize it in the sea of garbage on my desk, because it's been standing in the background of like it's been next to my G.I. Joe figures and stuff like that, and I've had Ollie on my little side desk because I love the little fuzzy guy. Which technically the fuzzy guy is a glider, which doesn't come with the stand. That's my one complaint about the line is that their gliders are $20, same as the figure, and like the stand and the glider is all you get, and that is kind of not cool.
Yeah, that's not great.
I got the blue guy. I forget what his name is. What's his name? Ripley.
Yeah, Ripley looks so fun.
And he is. His head is actually like a Buzz Lightyear dome piece that pops off and clips to his chest, and the little eyes are on like a little ball that's on a stick, and that's posable and movable.
Yeah, see, I did not care for him because I thought that was just going to be one solid piece when he first got revealed. But as soon as reviews started coming out and people were posting pictures of that, I was like, that looks amazing.
Yeah. And there's been there's a lot of accessories that really could fit into G.I. Joe. I've not picked up a lot of the Hasbro figures, but I've grabbed ones where like, I either don't have the skin, because that's one of the other things I do, is if I have the skin in game, which I have a lot of skins in the Fortnite game, I usually don't buy a figure of it. But if I find out that there's a figure going to be made, I usually won't buy the skin in game. Because to me, the better thing to own is the figure. But there are a couple characters like Bushranger. Bushranger is like one of my like top used skins in the game. I play the character all the time. Sometimes it's kind of like cheating because he does blend in with the foliage in the game, which is funny. But I've always thought that he looks like he's just a cute, pleasant little dude to watch. And man, it's like, I could almost argue with myself and push it up the list, but I like where it is. I think he's where he needs to be compared to the other things that I got. And I think that's all I have to say. His accessories are great too, by the way. He comes with a what I could only describe as like what kind of looks like a Springfield rifle, like a World War II rifle. And then 2 machetes covered in maple syrup and a beehive that goes on his back.
Excellent. Just looking at the pictures of him again. Yeah, no, he looks super good.
He can stand on one foot.
I'm going to cave on that guy eventually. I know it. As soon as I see him in person, because I don't think I've seen him in person yet. But as soon as that happens,
I never have.
Yeah, I've only seen like Wave 1 of Hasbro Fortnite in stores and like that Gladiator Deluxe guy.
I would buy that Gladiator Deluxe if I saw it in person.
I think there's like 2 or 3 sitting at my Walmart right now. You want me to middleman it?
Nah, that's one of those things where like I'm like, if I see it, I'll cave, but if I don't, I'm not gonna.
Yeah, it's a take or
It's in
leave.
stock. It's in stock online and stuff like that. So, I mean, my Target has really just always had the Fortnite's the Fortnite deluxe figures in there, like constantly.
Okay.
But they just don't get the other ones.
All
They
right.
don't get the newest one. But yeah.
Well, my number 7 is going to be a figure from a line we have not done on this list yet.
No.
And it's one of two from this line that are on my list. And if you know me, and if you've been following me this year, you probably already guessed that they would be on the list. But my number 7 is the Hasbro Marvel Legends 20th Anniversary Captain America. I have free great loves when it comes to Marvel. Like I'm generally more of a DC guy, but there are free characters whose whole character family I just love when it comes to Marvel. And it is Spider-Man first and foremost, then it's Captain America, and lastly it's Daredevil. And all those guys got great figures great new evergreen figures of them this year. And two of them made it on the list. And the first one is Captain America. I absolutely love this figure. I know it's mostly reuse of the 80th cap, but I never got 80th cap, and I also just way prefer this like bright baby blue color that he's got. The shading on him, there's actual shading on a Marvel Legends, like he fully justifies that extra special wave price he has, just in the fact that like each of the little scales have a dot of like slightly lighter blue paint on him than the rest of the figure, so it has that kind of nice comic book shading to it. And there's like subtle washes on the boots and gloves and his abdomen. The head sculpt, it's maybe a little too classic for my general taste, but I can roll with it. I love the unmasked Steve Rogers head. Of course, the big thing that everybody is kind of contentious about with this is the shield. I think it's fine because I'm either going to pose my cap using the shield for action things or with the shield on his back. And either way, I can hide the holes by using the effects parts or just spinning it around a little. So the holes don't bother me too much. I am considering picking up Ultimate Captain America next year just for his clean shield. But as is, I am super happy with this guy. Again, this is another figure where it's like, finally, this is the Captain America I've always wanted. I don't feel like I'm going to need another one anytime soon. This can just be my evergreen Captain America on my shelf for the foreseeable future.
That is one of the figures, which I probably should have talked to you about this. Well, I kind of mentioned it, but I forgot to say what I wanted to. I actually have a pretty substantial list of figures that I didn't get and that I had to cancel because I couldn't afford them at the time.
Yeah, you were talking about that earlier.
Yep. I could just blast through that real quick.
Sure, go ahead.
Because here it is. That cat probably would have been on my list too. Mm-hmm. Straight up, I could not get him. I had to cancel him whenever he released because I couldn't afford it. I was broke at the time. Classic Scorpion might have made it on the list. Couldn't get it. I don't even think I got to pre-order that actually.
Yeah, I want him real bad too. I'm thinking if he ever pops up at my local vintage store, because they tend to get a lot of new stuff in too. They stay super current with Marvel Legends and stuff like that. If I see him there, I'm gonna cave, because that was the thing that got me into Marvel Legends, was collecting Spider-Man and Spider-Man Rogues. So I don't have a Scorpion yet. I need classic Scorpion. But continue.
I have the Mac Gargan one with like the mouth.
Yeah.
Which is almost the same figure. It's quite literally the same figure, so that's fine.
That came out right before I got into Legends, so I like just barely missed it.
Really?
Yeah. I was late to the party with Hasbro Legends, dude.
Were you?
Yeah.
I thought that came out like last year.
No, dude, that was like 17, 18, I think.
I bought it right before I moved here, and I bought it on eBay.
Yeah, no, that's a fairly old figure, I'm pretty sure.
But yeah, so a figure that definitely would have made it on the list as well. Well, no, I have four Marvel Legends on here that I wasn't able to put my hands on this year. And
I just Googled it. He came out in 2019.
Okay. So yeah, right before I moved. But that would be the Iron Man special edition box set that came with like the super cannon.
Yeah, that was one of the
modular.
2 things I had to cancel to get the Daredevil pack.
Yeah, I want that more than anything. Still, that would have been on the list, 100%. The Beast in the coat, the classic or the retro Beast thing.
Man, you're just listing off all the Marvel Legends I really want at the moment.
Yeah, I was hoping to find Beast yesterday. That's who I was really hoping to find.
Is that a Walmart exclusive?
I don't know what the hell he is.
I thought he was fan channel.
Maybe I should go to some GameStops tomorrow. I haven't seen it in person though. I haven't really been going to a lot of stores.
Thrown off today because I went to Target today after work and they had the blue shirt Black Series Obi-Wans, and I was like, what the fuck? I thought these were a Walmart exclusive. So I don't know what's going on with exclusives anymore.
Yep. My Target has those too, and they're in the same weird. They're not even almost in the toy aisle, but they're on an end cap.
No, mine were with the rest of the Black Series.
Now, see, mine were it was all of the Tiger Force and Python Patrol stuff, and then that wave of Black Series.
That sounds like a killer end cap.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. I got to pick my run to the litter when it comes to the Viper.
Nice.
Because having that entire wave in front of me and having that many of a figure in front of me, holy shit, did that wave not get some really bad paint defects?
Ooh.
Because, like, almost every single one of them, all the bats and all the Vipers got it the worst, for sure.
I haven't seen any reports of that. That's pretty interesting.
Yeah, I maybe should. Well, I saw somebody talking about the neck being unpainted and then the forearms being unpainted, but they're hidden by the gauntlets. I didn't even check to see if mine has forearms painted, because why am I going to take the gauntlets off? I don't give a fuck. His neck, though, that matters to me.
That's the other thing, is like, just talking about Vipers for a second. I got the Viper free pack is not on my list, but I got it this year. And everybody who was complaining about, like, oh, there's the two regular Vipers, one's supposed to be white and one's supposed to be a black guy, but mine, they put the forearms for the white guy on the one with the black guy neck. Who cares? Why are you taking the gauntlets off, dude?
Yeah. And some people like to show them off like that. That's part of my favorite, or that's one of my favorite parts of the Vipers, is the weird, it reminds me of like the rubberized Spider-Man suit.
It looks like they're wearing Michelin Man armor.
Yeah. And I've always thought that was cool. And I got that pack, and as you may remember, I actually returned it.
Mm-hmm.
I did try to cancel that. I didn't want it, and that was one of the things where, like, Hasbro sent me an email straight up at 11:59 saying this item is going to ship early, and you have, some time to change it, and then charged me at 12:01.
Jeez, John Hasbro, what are you doing?
And I never go off on people on chat or anything like that, but the motherfucker had the audacity to tell me, we told you before the other day. Like, we told you a day before. I'm like, no, you didn't tell me a day before. The email
minutes before, my dude.
Yeah, I'm like, if you notice, the email that you sent me that tells me it's going to ship early and the email saying that it shipped are 2 minutes apart. It's just they're separated by 11:59 and 12:01. So technically in a different day. Okay. And I'm like, so don't even come out with this. So I was so pissed off with that. And then I don't like the muted colors. I don't mind the Iron Grenadier color design for like the main guy. And the effect parts were cool. I might even pick it up again later. But just wanting more, because I only ever got one Viper, and that's kind of all I really need for me. I have the other one now. I have the Python Patrol one. But I like the brighter colors on a Viper, and I didn't like how the other ones were darker. Like they had more muted colors, and it kind of just really didn't sit right with me. And the fact that I had such a negative experience getting that. And we just got sidetracked on figures that aren't even on our list, so that's funny.
I mean, is there anything else you didn't get this year that you really wanted and might have made it on your list?
There's a couple of Star Wars figures. Mm-hmm. I'll just bust through those real quick. The Ned B figure, that would have definitely made it on the list. Miggs Mayfield maybe would have made it on the list. Dark Trooper, I'm not so sure.
I had Miggs Mayfield in my hand, and it was either him or Slaughter. I only had the money for one, so I had to go with Slaughter.
That's a fair choice. I would have made the same.
But I still really want Migs. I still want my damn Space Bill Burr figure.
Yeah. Ned B is the yellow robot from Obi-Wan, by the way. New Legs Maul. I've been waiting for that figure forever. Did it even come out yet? Did that wave even come out yet?
It has hit. That has been in places. That was at my local vintage toy store, and I did not have money that week. I went the next week, and the only figure left from that wave was Migs. And like I said, it was either Migs or Slaughter.
Yeah, I never saw any of those anywhere. And then Ayla Secura, who's my favorite, like, not mainline Jedi.
Yeah, those are all the figures from that wave I want, and I've only seen one of them in person so far.
Yep.
But I did watch a review of all of them, and they look really good. Did you miss any Transformers this year?
See, that was the thing. I couldn't actually find a decent list of like all the shit that came out. There's stuff I chose not to buy. I haven't got an override, but I've seen her in person. The fucking.
By the time this comes out, people will have seen it in the modular Summit Toy Hunt. There's a moment where we were in a Walmart and there was just an entire peg of her.
Yeah. They're really. Oh yeah. There was. I didn't get Ironhide yet. He probably would have made it on the list. I'm not sure. I'm gonna
make some people mad real quick. I have him. He is not on my list.
I mean, that's fair.
I really like him. He just got beaten out by a couple things.
There's definitely going to be some controversial shit in my later list. But any of the leader class Dinobots other than Grimlock.
Same. I had Slug for a minute, and I decided to sell him just because I was like, do I really want to commit to a whole team of leader class Dinobots? I don't really have the space to display that right now, man. I just want Grimlock.
I did. I actually committed. I had almost all of them paid off through my through the Palaka GameStop. They never got them. I had them email so many times, they never got them.
That sucks.
Every time I'd see one of them pop in on the Stegosaurus, he was nowhere. The fucking nowhere, never. And again, that was one of the ones I had pre-ordered, never showed up. I never even saw it in a GameStop. I don't even think I've seen a picture of one in a GameStop.
Have they done Snarl the Stegosaurus? Do you mean the Triceratops?
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Okay, yeah, that's Slug. They've done Grimlock, Slug, and oh god, what is his freaking name? Sludge, the long neck. Yeah. They still need to do Snarl and Swoop, and I think there's one other because I think there's 6 of them in the G1
I want
cartoon.
all of them. I love the Dinobots.
Me too, man.
And I don't really care. I didn't really care for it, and I sold it. That was also mainly because, man, if you look at the War for Cybertron trilogy and the Kingdom and all the other shit that we got in the Legacy stuff compared to Titan's Return, there's a real stinky difference between those two, as in like solid gold and like rusty cum bucket. But anyways,
I don't think it's that big of a difference, but there is definitely a quality jump.
Ankles.
The only thing that makes an action figure good.
All right.
That's another thing. Is just like, if I can go on this little mini rant for 2 minutes, people saying like, oh, why do we need new toys of Unicron trilogy characters? Those characters already have knee joints. Why do we need G1 with knee equivalents for them? Fucking ankle tilts, motherfucker. Give me ankle tilts and wrist swivels on those designs. That's why we're excited about that. Damn it.
I don't even see why people would complain about that shit. They can go suck a nut. You know, like, seriously. Like, it's not even just the ankles, it's the fact that they'll have even more modern. Because, like, Armada, for one, like, no ankles, sometimes no. Like, some of those Armada toys were straight up.
Megatron doesn't have knees. He looks like he should, but he doesn't.
Like, if you look at, like, Robots in Disguise going into Armada, there was a massive reset. It almost went back to like the 1980s style articulation because of the gimmicks.
And because apparently ball joints weren't as robust as they thought they were at the time. Like a lot of Beast Wars figures had apparently not been as stable as they wanted them to be.
Oh yeah, there are some Beast Wars figures that are doll-esque, I would say.
But we've been rambling and going on little bunny rat trails for a while now. Cody, what is your number 7?
My number 7 is Transformers Legacy Bulkhead.
Seriously?
Yeah.
I was massively disappointed in that figure and freaking resold it.
I was in love with the design the moment they announced it.
I think it's a great design. I think the robot mode is good. I just could not. I was really frustrated by the transformation, and I could never get the vehicle mode to play the way I wanted it to.
Oh, that's I've like gone back and forth a bunch, and like my figure works like really good. I love his shield.
Copy.
Maybe, I don't know. Like Bulkhead is like, he might end up like overtaking as one of my favorite, like, or like my favorite Transformers character eventually. But like, he's been one of my favorites. I have the Japanese first edition Prime figure, which might be one of the best Transformers I own.
I would kill to be able to handle that thing. I've watched so many reviews of it. It looks so good.
Oh yeah, he sits in vehicle mode on my shelf actually. Easier to dust. But yeah, no, I mean, for me, like the little minigun on the shoulder, the shield, and just like his
fucking they gave him his mace.
Yeah, I know, and that I've put that on every other Transformer I own. I think. There's some that it doesn't work right on because of like their gauntlets and stuff like that. But like that like figure, that like little thing is just so rad. I really wanted to get the camouflage version of him, but I ended up like not being in a place to afford buying a figure I already had with just a minor repaint. I say as I sit in front of other bats, but anyways, yeah. I mean that's a number 7 for me. That's I really do love him. I love like the green. I love that character. I love the head sculpt. You know, I wish he was more round in a different style. In some ways, like I said, I like the other version of, you know, that figure, but like I don't think they could make something better than that other figure. Granted, I don't think that figure has. I don't think the first edition Prime has ankle articulation, but he does have the ability to do like the mace as well.
Yeah, and I mean, like he didn't. That figure didn't particularly need ankle articulation because the proportions and the character in the show, he couldn't really do poses like that anyway.
Yep. But see, for me, like, I also have a huge affinity, similar to like the construction thing. I love like missile trucks and troop carriers, flat face, square body, square front trucks.
You enjoy boxes.
Yeah. And so, like, when I'm like, holy shit, they made him into one of those vehicles. And the canopy looks like a canopy when it's on his back, but it could actually convert into a riot shield. Like, I love riot shields. I love, like, one of the coolest 30th anniversary G.I. Joe figures for me was the Cobra Riot guy.
Yeah, that's one I really wanted back in the day and just never saw because I think everybody bought like a bajillion of him.
They did. They sure did. There's a lot of cool pictures out there with that. But yeah, nope. That's my number 7. And yeah, I mean, I like I said, I really do love that figure.
That's
and it was gonna be him or Blitzwing, and I think Blitzwing might be a better figure, but I went with Bulkhead because he was like the first of Legacy. He was like fresh, and I was like, oh my god, I'm so overhyped for this figure, and then I got it, and for me, it didn't stave off. I was just like, holy shit, it's great.
I remember he was like the standout of Wave 1 for a lot of people.
Yeah. Granted, Kickback was also phenomenal, and I really just it was a hard choice for the 7 spot.
I don't own any figures from that wave anymore. I ended up reselling them all when I was getting up money for a new computer a few months back, but I think my standout from that wave was actually Skids. He's not on my list because I don't currently own him, but I really liked Skids. I thought he was just like an incredibly impressive and robust car transformer.
Yeah, I do love Skids. I love that figure. I have all of them. I think I have almost all the Legacy figures except for like some of the newest wave. Oh yeah, because Tarantulas, right? Yeah, Tarantulas is great too.
All right. Well, my number 6 is going to be the other Marvel Legends on my list. And again, if you know me, you probably were expecting this. It is the Hasbro Marvel Legends 60 Amazing Years. I was trying to remember that term. Renew Your Vows, Spider-Man and Spinneret 2-pack. I Before I was into anything else Marvel, I was into Spider-Man. I've loved Spider-Man since I was a wee lad, and I have always wanted like a really good, great looking, super articulated, evergreen kind of Spider-Man figure. And I've had that for a while. I had Pizza Spidey, and I was really happy with Pizza Spidey. I was content to skip the retro Spider-Man, but then I ended up getting Black Costume retro Spider-Man and really liking him. And then literally like 2 weeks after I got him, they did that stream where they announced this 2-pack and the Venom 2-pack with Noel. And it was like, here's a classic Spider-Man on the retro body that's pinless and has toe articulation, and it's going to be wide release. So you don't have to fucking worry about exclusivity and will I see it, will it not, will it cost $1 bajillion because I'm buying it online. Bullshit. So I immediately pre-ordered the fucking thing, and I never canceled that pre-order. I'm pretty damn happy with the way Peter turned out. I really like the sculpts. The articulation is great. I'll say this. I'll piss off a few thousand people real quick. I think toe articulation is a bit overrated. It's partially just because like I am not as good at posing as I think everybody who likes toe articulation is. I find it really hard to balance on the toes, but also just like on this guy and Daredevil, the toe joints they made feel a little loose and floppy to me. It could entirely just be my copies, but like that'd be a really weird freak accident that it was only my copy both times. And also just they look a little bulbous, the feet, when you put them next to another figure. Not so much so that it sticks out like a sore thumb, but if you look at it, it's like, ooh, what's going on there? But the rest of the articulation is great. I love that he comes with an unmasked head, he has fists, he has wall crawlers, he has flips, all the hands you want your Spider-Man to have. And then in addition to that, Spinneret is great. Like, I was not expecting to love Spinneret as much as I do. I've never read any of the Renew Your Vows comics, and before that I could have taken or leaved the concept of Mary Jane as a spider person. And now that I have the figure and I messed around and posted it, and it is like almost as good as Peter, I would say. Like she's only missing like a mid-waist waist joint and toe articulation as well, and butterfly shoulders. And that's been a thing I've seen a lot of people talking about this year. Marvel Legends needs to step up its female articulation because some of the other Hasbro lines have really good female articulation that's better than this. But this is still a great figure, and having this figure has made me go like, hey, Marvel Comics, why the fuck haven't you gotten Peter and Mary Jane back together and annulled the marriage and just made Mary Jane a spider person? Like, I feel if we just made Mary Jane a spider person in the main continuity, that would solve the it's hard to write a married couple problem, because now they're just both superheroes and you have them both on missions all the time and you just write fun superhero couple stuff. I would be super into that, just like I'm super into these figures. These are great figures, and they're my number 6.
I want to let you rant because this is just going to be an extended rant, because my number 6 is the same fucking Spider-Man.
Oh, is that the first time that's happened?
I mean, we've only done 2 lists.
Yeah, I don't think we lined up at all last year. I don't think any of our figures were the same last year.
No, I don't think so at all. And for me, here's my little bit, and I had to look it up too. I owned 2 other two classic, and I need to I could literally have just a Spider-Man shelf, mind you. I could have just a Marvel Legends Spider-Man shelf. I have the old, I have like Big Time Lifetime, like the good one. I have the old 2099 release. I have like multiple like Ben Reilly's and fucking like Mark 1 figures and the Future Foundation and the Future Foundation reverse, and I have like Scarlet Spider and whatever. I've always been buying Marvel Legends Spider-Man figures, and I never owned Pizza Spidey. Mm-hmm. I have always loved Spider-Man. He's one of the best Marvel characters. I had the Spider-Man animated Toy Biz toy that was not like before they started. It was before they started doing like good articulation in Marvel Legends. So he came with like a lamppost, and his arms were like static and they'd lift up. I still have the toy actually, but his arms were static and they'd lift up, and he came with like boxes that he could kick over and they'd like break apart.
That's
I
cool.
had that figure, and then I got the Spider-Man from the Marvel Legends Spider-Man Sinister Six 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pack.
Yeah, I've seen that in person a couple times. That's a really good pack.
Yeah. I got that Spider-Man, so that was, my first fully articulated Spider-Man, and it slipped out of my hand one day, and his chest is hollow, and he shattered.
Oh.
And since that, literally since that, I have not been able to, or not, found the right, just classic Spider-Man. Because whenever Marvel Legends started doing Spider-Man again, they'd either do like Kid Spider-Man, or, they would do just, not the right Spider-Man. And I always wanted the Chase variant too, and that was the thing. This was one of the hardest decisions of this list, is to figure out not where to put Spider-Man, but which one to put here. And the Renew Your Vows
there's a couple different retro body figures now, and I mean, like, they've even gone so far because of how much retooling there is. Renew Your Vows body is a term that's getting thrown around now. Like, of course, there's that Daredevil on the Renew Your Vows body. There's that PS4 Spidey that's coming on the Renew Your Vows body. And I'll just say real quick, Daredevil is not on my list just because, like, I feel like the Spider-Man pack is a little more of a solid package than Daredevil. I love Daredevil. I'm very happy with that figure. I like the Bullseye in that pack a lot more than I thought I would, but it's still not the Bullseye I want, and that Electro was a big letdown for me, so that's why that pack didn't make it onto my list.
And I used to dream about the Chase variant of the Wave 1 Toy Biz Spider-Man, or like the Wave 2 Toy Biz Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
That was the black suit Spider-Man. And the retro Spider-Man, the retro black suit, I had on my desk forever until I moved him whenever I got the rest of these Spider-Man figures they released. Because that figure is amazing. But
yeah, that whole wave was so good. Freaking Shocker and Hammerhead, man. I love those guys.
Yeah, and I actually have an open Shocker. And that was the other thing, too, is because they're not on my list, the Lizard didn't make it on my list.
Oh.
I do love him.
I should say there's no Spidey Rogues on my list this year. I loved all the ones I got. They just weren't like top 10 material.
I have an open Shocker still. I haven't opened Electro. I don't even know when I got Electro. But
Electro came out in 2020. I got him then.
That's probably when I got him, and I just never opened it. But I have Mysterio. I have the Green Goblin retro figure. Several Venoms now. We've just been spoiled at that. I got Carnage. I got Kingpin. I've got the retro Sandman. I've got the Hydro Man from the Spider-Man Far From Home wave.
He was in the same wave as that first Scorpion.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. I got those together. I got them from a reseller.
And actually, now that I've had some time to think about it, that was not before I got into Legends. I think that was like the year or two after, and I just never saw those in person.
And again, this is not on my list, but I will say it. Iron Spider, one of the best Marvel Legends we got this year.
Yeah, I was fully skipping on that, and then as soon as pictures started hitting, I was like, oh man, I made a bad choice there.
that figure articulates like cream, better than anything else. The paint on it is just right, and it matches Modular Iron Man, which I love. Yeah. God, I hope we have a Hulkbuster coming, because we have not gotten a good one.
So I've been thinking about this. What if that's the next HasLab? Do a big ass comic Hulkbuster and do it like Star Saber and Death Source. It's only like $100 and have it come with a few other more obscure Iron Man characters.
I mean, maybe if they did like Hulkbuster and a couple other variations of Hulkbuster. But my favorite Hulkbuster, the one that was part of the Legendary Rider series, which is essentially the modular design. But
that's still the best comic Hulkbuster too, which is insane.
That's my favorite design. Now, if they did a hat, I don't think that would be proper scaling, because he's supposed to be the size of Hulk. The Hulkbuster is like the same size, if not maybe a teensy bit larger than regular Hulk. So I don't think it would fit as a HasLab.
Oh yeah,
If they
no.
did,
I'm not saying make it huge. I'm saying like make it the appropriate size, make it crazy articulated, and then like make it. I would say it would be like 80 to 120, and then make all the stretch goals other Iron Man characters you wouldn't see at retail.
Yeah. I would say if you're going to do a HasLab Iron Man or Hulkbuster, you do Mark IV, and then it works completely, and you could open the glass shield and put in a regular Iron Man figure. And the one I'm talking about is the World War Hulk one that he uses to fight Hulk in the I think it's like the Bronx or something like that. The square one. It doesn't even look like a suit like you.
Oh my god! I've never seen this design before. This is hilariously awesome.
That's insane that you've never seen that before, because that's
I've
never
read World War Hulk. I haven't read that. I haven't actually read Planet Hulk. I haven't read a lot of Hulk comics, dude.
Oh, Hulk is my favorite character, so maybe that's the difference there.
Mm-hmm.
Hulk is my favorite Marvel character. It's like the top three, I think, tend to be like Hulk, Ghost Rider, and then I have the two down. The number three sometimes interchanges like Iron Man, Spider-Man, or whatever, Captain America.
See, for me, it has solidly been Spidey, Cap, Daredevil since Netflix Daredevil started up. Because Netflix Daredevil started up, I watched that first season in one sitting, and then I spent like the next couple months reading every Daredevil run from Frank Miller up to current. And now Daredevil's just one of my boys, but and Cap had been there since the movies, and I kind of like slowly got into his comics over the course of that, and Spidey's one of those characters for me that's just kind of always been there.
Yeah.
Like, I can't remember a time before I liked Spider-Man.
And for me, like, my room went from, as a child, it was Mickey Mouse. There was a brief time where it was John Deere. And then I turned it into all Incredible Hulk. I had Incredible Hulk bed sheets, Incredible Hulk, like everything. I had Incredible Hulk lamps and whatever. The Hulk has always been like definitively my favorite like comic book character. Yeah. I love the Hulk so much, and we are spoiled with the Hulk mold, by the way. Of which I have 4.
That what was it, 80th anniversary Hulk body?
I haven't got him. I haven't got any of those.
But that what? I thought you had like a Compound and Red Hulk. Those are on that body.
No. I haven't got any of the 80th ones.
Okay. See, like the actual 80th Hulk that came in a 2-pack with Wolverine, the first appearance Wolverine, that is my default Hulk on my shelf. Like, I don't think I've bought another Hulk figure since then.
And that's the best one. But I have him. I have that Wolverine 2-pack Hulk. I've got Gray Hulk. I've got Red Hulk. I didn't buy Compound Hulk. I didn't want him. I don't really see a point in that.
Did you get Maestro? Okay.
Yeah. I got fucking Maestro. He's sitting right down there next at the feet of Omega Supreme. Oh, dude, I forgot I had that. I forgot I had Vulture too, dude. I literally almost have every single like Spider-Man Rogue except for Doc Ock.
Vulture and Scorpion are the two big ones I feel like I'm missing. I really want them.
They couldn't really do better than that Vulture they have. That's like
I have the Falcon that's on the Vulture body, and I really like him. So I think I'll like Vulture when I get him.
Yeah. I need to get that retro Rhino. I tried to complete that Rhino originally, but granted, the retro has better head sculpt and paint.
Yeah, well, the retro just looks like what you think of when you think of Rhino. The
articulation sucks on that figure.
The Build-A-Figure was at the time current design that aged like milk.
Yeah. That articulation though does suck. That's one of the that's one of the reasons where I've not been hunting that Rhino so hard, because I'm really holding out that they're gonna like do a better one.
Well,
but I'm gonna buy it anyways now because I don't know if that's gonna happen.
This might just be a difference of opinion, or maybe like the figure is actually more different than you think. Because I've never messed with the Build-A-Figure, but the retro Rhino I really like. I think its articulation is exactly as good as it needs to be for Rhino.
Let me look up retro Rhino real quick.
Yeah, let's do that, and then we probably need to get on to our number 5s.
Yeah, it's it's the same.
Okay.
He just has a different head and better paint.
Just a difference of opinion, then.
Yeah, I want him to have butterfly joints. is
Yeah,
like the main
butterflies
thing.
would help him out, but I didn't feel like they were missing. I was able to get a good enough running pose on him, and that's all you want for Rhino. You want him to stand there and look intimidating, and you want him to have a cool running pose.
The OG Rhino figure, it does look significantly different. They changed the chest a lot, actually. But he has the same articulation. He also used to have pauldrons on his shoulders, and he doesn't on the new one.
Yeah, I hate those pauldrons. Those look so stupid.
Doesn't make sense because like it's supposed to be like skin. I mean, I'm still gonna pick that Rhino up because like that's better. It's better than it probably will get, honestly. And I wish he had a. I wish it was like the Hulk body, even though he's not that size. I want him to have like more of a natural like curvature to the thing because I've always loved Rhino, and that's why I've been so picky about getting him.
Yeah, it would be cool if like AliExpress or someone could hook us up with a knockoff on that body like they did for Juggernaut.
Yeah.
I actually got the AliExpress Juggernaut and sold my 80th Juggernaut because I like the AliExpress one better.
That's funny.
But that's enough rambling. I'm gonna get on to my number 5, and my number 5 is my one wild card pick this year. But I also, while it is a wild card in terms of this list, I think, again, if you've been paying attention to me, and particularly me on this channel this year, you might not be surprised by this, because it is the Mattel Fisher-Price Play School Rescue Heroes Sam Sparks.
Wow. Is that my fault?
This is entirely you. It's your fault, but like this was gonna happen someday, because we did a whole podcast this year where it was just like 2 hours of me, you, and Boingo talking about Rescue Heroes and how like that was the one of the first toy lines. I can't remember which came first. It was either this or Thomas Wooden Railway, were like the first 2 toy lines I can remember really obsessing over. And I had a shit ton of them as a kid, and eventually I sold them all. And to this day, I regret it. Because they're really solid figures, and you almost never see them anymore. I've only ever seen Rescue Heroes at vintage toy shows in like bins missing all their parts. But you go on eBay, and at least for now, you can find a lot of them in fairly good condition, fairly reasonably priced. So we spent, I want to say, like 4 hours that night just surfing eBay looking at Rescue Heroes and a couple other toy lines. And I ended up buying 3 that night, and I haven't bought any more since. But my favorite out of that lot is Sam Sparks, because he's the first one I got as a kid. And literally until that night, I thought he was Billy Blazes. I did not realize until just then that it was a different character who also happened to be a white guy fireman. And literally the only difference in their design is that he doesn't have a mustache. Sam Sparks does not have a mustache. Billy Blazes does. But that kind of makes me like him even more. He's my boy that nobody else ever talks about. Because there is like a obscure Rescue Heroes fandom out there that I discovered this year as well. And almost no one ever talks about Sam Sparks, and I think that's because this is like one of maybe 2 figures he ever got. It is it's the one that has like the red chrome on his fire hose, and you hit the button and it releases and extends up on his backpack, and it's really fun. It doesn't do a whole lot. It's not super articulated, but it's well articulated enough that you can kind of move it around and get a couple different poses. And he has that double whammy of A, he makes me nostalgic in a way almost nothing else in my collection can. And B, he has like really good friendship memories ingrained in him now, because I bought him during a wild night of eBaying with you guys, and that's a night I'm not going to forget anytime soon. That's probably one of my favorite things that's happened on this channel this year outside of the summit. And that's pretty much all I got to say on that.
And that is really cool. I do intend on picking up more. I didn't pick up any that night, but I intend on getting more. At least getting some of the ones, because like there are glow-in-the-dark edition Rescue Heroes, and 2 of them I had. And as people would know, I collect glow-in-the-dark shit, and it would be nice. That's just like a trifecta of like, yep, gotta get. Had it as a kid, loved it as a kid, glows in the dark now, looks great on the shelf, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's definitely a cool pick. Definitely an interesting pick. An old pick as well.
Yeah, my one vintage toy on the list.
I can't say the same because my number 5, if we're ready for that,
Yeah, go ahead.
is the Zevo's Thunder Shaman.
Oh my god.
And if you don't remember what he looks like, that's
I think I held him while I was there, didn't I?
yeah. It's the big gorilla. He was one of the more deluxe figures, and for probably 4 years I tried to get him. This figure came out in like 2002. Made me one step closer to having
so
literally
2006. He can't be on the list.
What?
I'm joking. I'm fucking with you. I'm being an asshole.
But yes, like it made me one step closer to having all of them. It's always a character that I was like, whenever I found out it existed, because for the longest time, I only ever had the fire guy from the Zevo's line and the skeleton from the Zevo's line. Which, if I ever made a top 10 list of like skeleton figures, he would be in the top 3, I think, of the skeleton from that line, of which I have 3 for some reason, because I got through some sort of eBay shenanigans. Somebody just happened to be selling 2. Oh well, technically I have 5, so fuck what I said. Because I have a special edition. I have 2 identical special edition Grim Skull, like value zone, whatever, because it's the same skeleton but in black, with red eyes and like clear purple accessories, and he comes with some fire pieces. So he kind of like comes with half of another figure, and then that also came with 2 mint in box Grim Skull figures, of which, of my Zevos, almost all of them I bought in the last couple years. Well, no, that's not even true, because like I started collecting them heavy in like 2015 or 2016, and then I kind of got all the ones at a really good price, and they kind of started being more found, and then I didn't get any more for a very long time until I got last year Iron Spectre, who might have been on my list last year. I can't remember.
I don't remember him being, but I listened to the podcast like a week ago, so I might have forgot.
And then this year, Thunder Shaman. And I got him just like I got Iron Spectre last year. 2 rare figures, mint in box, and I opened them. So I got to have the full experience. And the figure's amazing. I've had him hanging off a shelf because he has fully articulated hands, just about.
Yeah,
and they're big,
when you
blocking.
sent the first photo of him hanging out, literally,
yeah,
that was so cool.
Yeah, it's truly an incredible figure. I'd say might be one of my favorite Zevos. Couldn't really budget into the top 5 though, because of how fucking insane the other figures are, and how they'll probably stay like the robot, who I forget the name of. Will probably be one of my like top 10 toys of all time forever. And the electric guy, who is such a heartbreak and a love of mine, because he looks beautiful under any light, but the translucent plastic is prone to cracking. So for a toy line made entirely out of ball joints for every possible joint, you could see how that might be an issue. Mm-hmm. But thankfully all the matte colored pieces are very resilient. So and that's what he's made out of. He's got a gimmick where he's got punchy hands. Not that he really needs them, because they're already like gigantic, gorilla hands. But
well, I mean, everybody can do with some Hulk hands.
Yeah. In my final picture, I have him done up with like pretty much his entire garb, because he comes with like a crazy like shaman mask that mounts to his chest, and it's almost the height of most of the other figures I have on my shelf. And he comes with like armor pieces, and I could fucking go on for years about how sweet the Zevo's line is, and how like there's never really been something quite like it. There's been similar things. That's not entirely true, because I mean it is like a monsters. It's like a monsters and cool guys toy line, and there's been a lot of those, I'd say. But never to the point of like this detail, this aesthetic, and the sheer articulation and accessories these things come with. Like one of the best toy lines in my opinion. And I absolutely love getting this figure. And that's what went into a lot of the decision making for me for this year, is what did I get the most joy out of?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. And I got an incredible amount of joy. Like every time I come home, It's one of the first things my eyes catch when I sit down in my chair, and I look at it and I'm just like, wow, that thing's amazing. And yeah, that's about all I could say about it. I think. Hasbro, please bring back Zevos somehow.
Yeah, it's cool. Like I said, there's been kind of a shift towards early 2000s nostalgia this year. And I've seen not just you, but I've seen a couple other people calling for another stab at Zevos this year, which has been interesting to see.
Yeah, I don't know what's more likely. I'd love for us to get like my number one thing that I want back is I want Bionicle back. And we'll get into that later, but like, God, I want Bionicle back.
You want Bionicle, you want Zebos. I have wanted the Unicron trilogy for a long time, and I'm starting to get it. And my other thing is obviously, like I said during the summit, new Code Lyoko toys. Please, God, I'm begging you. But that is our top. That is our bottom 6. So now it's time for honorable mentions, and we're gonna do these a little more rapid fire. So I'll just go ahead and do my 5. Classified 52, Snake Eyes and Timber. These probably would have made the top 10 were it not for the fact that literally everything is reuse. I had trouble thinking of that exact term. But it makes the honorable mentions just because this is the Snake Eyes I wanted in the first place. This is like the deluxe version with the paint apps, and the Uzi and the extra hands. He's got a couple new to him weapons that did come with the Alley Viper. It's the ninja look, but it's a little more tactical. And he comes with Timber. And I'm actually currently in my collection, I have the Alpha Commandos, which was on my list last year, actually. I have the Alpha Commandos, Snake Eyes and Timber, and I have this Snake Eyes and Timber, and I feel like they both, because they are so different from each other, can kind of sit on the same shelf together now. Especially with how, like, Alpha Commandos Timber looks like a wolf that should be called Timber to me, whereas this one, even though I know the white is more accurate to the original toy, I look at it and I think that's not Timber, that's Tundra. That's what I'm calling that dog. But
fair enough.
That's my thoughts on them. The Bandai Samurai Sentai Shinkenger DX Shoto phone. I got this like right at the start of the summer, and it ended up just being my fidget toy for the rest of the year. It's the transformation device, the morpher for that show, and it's essentially a cell phone that just it's a flip phone that unfolds and then folds over into a paintbrush, and it is just really fun to do that transformation over and over again. It was like my fidget toy for so long. I only just recently put it on the shelves proper. It's been on my desk forever. And also I just really like Shinkenger. Bandai Power Rangers Lightspeed Rescue Deluxe Lightspeed Megazord and Super Train Megazord. I got these pretty close to the start of the year, and it was like a good 3 or 4 month project of restoring them. They weren't in terrible condition, but they were a little banged up. Some of the connectors are broken, but they can still hold together. But I like completely cleaned them up. I restored some of the paint. I got them brand new stickers, and they just look fantastic. They're 2 of my favorite Megazord designs of all time. So to finally have those original toys just makes me so happy. I love Lightspeed. I think it's a massively underrated season. Yeah. The Jazzwares Star Wars Micro Galaxy Squadron, Republic LAAT, or Republic Gunship, nice. to those of you who know what's up. I got this at the Summit. It kind of pulled the trigger on that line for me. I haven't bought any more of them since the Summit. But this is definitely my favorite one of the ones I've gotten so far. It's my favorite Star Wars ship of all time. It's pretty fully featured. I would like it if the doors could slide back a little more to show the full interior like they do in the movies and shows. But other than that, I am super happy with this thing, and I hope we get a million bajillion repaints of it, because there are so many variations of it in toys, movies, and Clone Wars. So I will buy them all if they do happen. And Transformers Studio Series 86-11 Perceptor. I really wanted to love this figure, and it's so frustratingly close to perfect, because, like, It's a really solid robot mode that looks just like he does in animation. He has a pretty good transformation that gets both of the G1 alt modes in there, but I just can't live with that face sculpt, man. It looks way too plain and just I am a robot man to me. Perceptor is a way more like happy and expressive character than this figure conveys, in my opinion. It is without a doubt the best official Perceptor we've gotten, but if he just had a head sculpt that looks more like the guy from the movie, I think he would be perfect. And he probably would have made my top 10. That being said, though, he's pretty good. And that's all my honorable mentions.
All right. Well, I guess we'll move right into mine. Mm-hmm. So my number 5 honorable mention is all the figures I had to cancel this year. Not just kidding. We talked about that plenty of time. That is what I put.
Lost in remembrance.
Yeah, it's in remembrance. But truthfully, my number 5 honorable mention is Jakks Pacific Sonic the Hedgehog crab meat.
What the fuck? I haven't heard of this at all.
Look up the picture. This is something that I've like played around with. It's very simplistic. It has ball joints at its legs, at its eyes, and at his little claws. It's a literal $5 figure.
Oh, this is the most Cody core thing I've seen in a minute.
Exactly. It's a crab robot. It's a crab robot. This little guy is so fucking amazing. And he was on the list, and I was like, you know what? Like I love it so much, but for the other stuff, for like the entirety of the list, and for what I have, he fits better as an honorable mention, surely because of like design and because of everything else.
Have you seen the Sonic Boom one?
No.
I will put that in the chat real quick.
Is there a toy?
Yeah.
No way! What the fuck? Hang on.
He looks like a Pokemon. He looks like the evolution of the one you got.
Crab meat. How much is this gonna cost me to buy right now? Dude, is it rare? What have you done? God damn it, is it rare? I will buy this right now. Seriously, I will buy this right now. I love that thing so much.
This came out in 2016. God, Sonic Boom was that long ago, huh?
I can't even find a listing of it online other than in a group of other ones.
I found a Toy Wiz page for it. That's how I found that image. But it is out of stock.
Yeah, I can find a picture of him with Knuckles.
Mm.
I'm gonna have to do some looking. Honestly, this is one of those lines that kind of like there are so many more Sonic figures. I've not seen any of these. Son of a bitch, dude.
Okay.
These little guys are great. Anyways.
Okay. Yeah, back to your honorable mentions.
Dude, that's man, I'm buying that tonight. I'm finding it online tonight and I'm buying it.
Sorry.
Number 4. No, it's fine. I needed to know. I really did. Crab figures are so hard to come by, and man, is that not incredible. Number 4, Storm Shadow. G.I. Joe, classified Storm Shadow. Fantastic figure, of course, we both know this. I just didn't feel strong enough to put him in the main line, but I had to get a ninja on the list, and I think of all of that wave, I think Storm Shadow was my favorite one. It's damn near perfect for Storm Shadow. Number 3, Legacy Kickback. When I got him, really? I couldn't stop posing him. I still can't. I took so many. I think you remember. I took so many
that's
photos.
Right. We argued about him because I genuinely like the what was it, Titan's Return or Power to Prime's Legends figure better.
Yeah, and I have the complete Legends Insecticons. But for me, some of my favorite Transformer things are Dinobots and Insecticons, and I like the Insecticons more than I do the Dinobots. My favorite's Bombshell. Surprise! It's the fucking Iron Knight.
Chunky boy.
Yeah, and we're getting him. Oh my god. Ooh. This is one of the other ones where like I couldn't figure out if Bulkhead or Blitzwing, and then I couldn't figure out if maybe Kickback or not. But I think Kickback is a better honorable mention. He's really fantastic. And I actually had to change my number 2 honorable mention on the fly. And we'll figure it out later. But it was Star Wars Black Series Tech. I got almost no Black Series this year, truthfully.
I got
only
a couple,
few,
but I didn't get as much as I probably have in previous years.
Like, I got Echo, ARC Trooper Echo. If he came out this year, I got him.
No, he was last year, dude.
Okay, then he's been standing up there for a while.
Yeah.
I know for a fact I got well, you know what?
I got the Dark Troopers and oh god, what's Boba Fett this year. And I got Fennec too. I got those.
So
I definitely got those free this year, but like none of them were even close to top 10 for me.
I might have gotten Cad Bane this year. I don't think so. Most of my Bad Batch figures and clones came through GameStop, so they got super late. They got here so late anyways. But Tech I've found in store and bought this year, and that figure was like Bo-Katan last year. It's one of the Black Series where like I open it up and I'm like, holy shit, this is why I buy Star Wars figures. Like, but Black Series also got hit the hardest when it comes to inflation. And they come with so little, and sometimes they do so little. And the last couple of things, like, and here's what happened. The last couple of Black Series figures that I got, that I picked up from GameStop, I ended up returning or selling because they were like Phoenix Squadron, Stormtrooper, Darth Maul without his shirt on, and then the Crimson Guard and like other stuff like that.
Yeah,
like the Gaming Greats ones.
A lot of the stuff they've been doing towards the back half of this year just hasn't really interested me. Like, I liked Obi-Wan and I liked Andor. They were both great shows in my opinion, but I don't really feel like I need a lot of those characters. Like, there was a moment where I was like, yeah, I'll take all the Inquisitors, and then very quickly I was like, you know what? No, actually, I could wait on them.
Yeah, and see, for me, it was the fact that like all of the Gaming Greats that we got were repaints. That I was looking so much forward to that Darth Maul, and I did not know it was from Wave 1 of Black Series, and it was a Reeve tool. His like that figure fucking sucks so hard I couldn't even sell it.
I will still argue that Wave 1 Mole is a really good figure for its time, but like re-releasing those legs today is fucking stupid.
It's 2022. It's been 12 years and they re-released that figure on a new body at a premium price.
Yeah, it's fucking lucky that in the same year they're giving us that Clone Wars Maul.
Yeah, and like I said, I want that leg Maul so bad, new legs Maul so bad.
Me too. I need him. He's the only prequel villain I don't have.
I didn't get new Echo yet, and he probably would have been on there, and they probably would have changed the list a little bit. Yeah. Tech is really the only figure I got this year, other than what's his name? Who's the bulky guy from Bad Batch? Because I got him this year too.
Wrecker.
Yeah, because Wrecker was one of the first ones I pre-ordered through GameStop, and they took fucking years to get him, like forever to get him. But I finally got him. I love that Wrecker figure, but Tech is just so much more cool. It's one of those figures where he's got the hips and he's got the style. Anyways, not to go on anymore. This one might surprise you a little bit. But my number one honorable mention is actually Transformers Legacy Cosmos.
Really?
Yes.
I remember you were so pumped for that figure, and you were like desperate to find it.
I am, and the thing was, that's probably one of my best Toy Stories. That's funny. Of the year, if not of any year, because I went to a Walmart, didn't find them. Went to another one, didn't find them, and I was like, you know what, fuck it. I'm gonna go to this other Walmart because I have 3 in my town. And then I get there because I found the Velocitron at every single Walmart I went to, where all of them were on the pegs except for Cosmos.
Oh.
And then that night I was so disgruntled, and I'm like, this is why I fucking can't stand collecting anymore. This shit sucks, son of a bitch, fuck, ass, shit, all the cuss words. And then I get there, I get to the last one, I finally make the decision to do it, and I get there, I find them, I'm like, wow, this is amazing, and I go around the side just to glance at the Hot Wheels. What's up?
You were literally that meme of like the guy in the room all angry and depressed, and then Cosmos just walks in and you're like, oh my god, Cosmos.
Yeah, and like I was like, I turn the corner and I end up having this fantastic conversation with the guy he's like 60 something, and he's like going through the Hot Wheels, and I picked some out and I was like, hey man, do you have this one yet? And he's like, oh wow, I didn't actually see that yet. And then we had this beautiful moment where I was like, oh yeah, there's some more Hot Wheels on the end cap. And I look over and I was like, oh, hey, that one down there looks pretty important. What is that? And he looks and grabs it, and it's a super treasure hunt Impala. And he tried to hand it to me, and I was like, "Nah, man, that's yours." And he's like, "Dude," he's like, "I just have to say, I built an Impala similar to this with my dad, and this model car is one of my all-time favorite cars." And like, he almost got teary with this, and he's like, "Thank you so much." Because like, mind you, a super treasure hunt and Hot Wheels, like, you could sell for like $100 sometimes. That was a 98 cent. That was free money essentially. And I knew that this guy was going to appreciate it more than anything else. And he tried to hand it to me, and I was like, "No, that's yours." And then he tells me this story. And so I went from like being like, you know what, I'm about fucking had it with buying this shit. I'm just gonna like lay back and get like retro shit and not really focus on getting new stuff anymore. To like, this is why I do this, and this is why it makes me happy. I was pleasantly reminded with finding this Cosmos. The reason why he's an honorable mention, though, is because while the figure is great and he looks amazing, he does have some articulation issues as far as like the tolerances on his elbows. They're swivel joints, and they kind of don't really hold their own weight sometimes. And man, if he doesn't have the most hollow arms, and it kind of ruins any pose you do that shows the gap in there. Because he straight up, he's got like 2 Micro Machine wide holes in his like forearms. Like, I could put like a minifigure in there from a Lego set, and just he could like build a house and go to sleep.
That's unfortunate.
The vehicle mode.
I usually don't care about gaps on Transformers, but like, that does sound pretty egregious.
I don't, unless it's something like that, because like, you know, like most of the time you're not really going to see it, but it's right there on the inside of his arms. So if he's not like inward arms, or you don't rotate it around correctly, it's not going to look right. And that also goes into the same issue with the elbows, to where trying to rotate it around correctly, it'll sometimes just find its way back around to show you the gap. And that's kind of like the thing. Like, the vehicle mode's perfect, the figure looks right, and he's going to be great. It's not quite as fun as I wanted it to be, but everything around it really brought it home for me. Nice. But that's why it didn't make it on the list, but that's why it's my number 1 honorable mention.
All right. Well, my number 4, getting back to the lists proper, is going to be the Hasbro Transformers Legacy Velocitron Speedia 500 Collection Voyager Cybertron Universe Override. This is my favorite Transformer of this year. Not just because it is a great figure, because it is a fantastic figure, and I'll get into that in a minute, but also just because of what it represents. So I just knocked over a bunch of stuff grabbing her. Something I have been dying for in mainline or collector line, because there's really no mainline anymore. There's so much different stuff. But the collector Transformers, for years, I have been begging for not even like a whole return to Unicron trilogy, just like some of the Unicron trilogy specific characters. I have said over and over again, where is Tidal Wave? Where is Highwire? Where is Override? And finally she is here, and she, our beautiful drag racing trans queen Override, is the heralding of the Unicron trilogy designs returning to Transformers full force. Because yes, we've had little gasps and spurts here and there, but A, only one of them was actually any good, and B, we've not had like a full initiative to bring back the Unicron trilogy design style in the collector lines until this figure. And now we've got the Starscream coming, and the Hot Shot, and they've said there's more Armada designs on the way, and I wouldn't be surprised if there's more Cybertron coming too. I wouldn't mind a couple Energon ones as well, but like, I'll take what I can get, and what I have gotten so far, because she's the only one I've gotten out of those 3 so far. I absolutely love this figure, because I actually did handle the original Override for the first time this year, very briefly. And that figure, I don't dislike it, but it's not great. It is mainly just a gimmick toy, because the gimmick is all the limbs spring out from underneath her for the transformation. And then she's kind of wide, she's kind of bulbous, doesn't really look like the proportions of the animation model. But this figure takes that design adds new elements to the transformation to get her to that animation model. Like, she looks spot on to the show now. And just gets rid of all the gimmickry so she can have proper modern articulation. And it's fantastic. It's perfect. It's literally, it is a guys, you got it in one shot, which is so rare in collector toys. But like, literally, they could never make another Override again, and I think I'd be fine with that. My one complaint, my one tiny nibbling nitpick complaint, is you can't deploy her gun in vehicle mode like you could on the original toy. There's space to put a Cyberplanet key in her, but it doesn't actually do anything, and the guns just can't deploy all the way in vehicle mode because of some stuff that gets in the way. But other than that, she's fantastic. I love posing her. I love transforming her. I love fucking doing her around on my desk. She's the best Transformer that came out this year. Do not at me.
That's fair. I haven't put my hands on that figure yet. I never had the original one. I do still want to get it, and literally Paternia just tweeted that they're both on sale. Both of those Voyager classes are on sale for $25 at Walmart. So I'm probably going to try to find it this weekend. But my number 4 is this might be my last one of these on this list. It is. I only have 2 of them on this list because I didn't get a lot of these this year either. But it's a Marvel Legends figure.
Okay.
And it's Galactus.
I knew he was going to be on your list. I'm shocked he's not your number 1.
Oh, I mean, I love the figure. The thing I love more than this figure, that's one of the things that was weird about him this time, is like, man, he really fucking is. That's one thing. That's how I'll explain Galactus. Is he is. This bitch is. This is a fucking
Darkseid is not. Galactus is.
Like, but he is heavy. He is perfect. He is incredible. He is a spectacle. This man is one of the coolest fucking things I've seen. It's like, I love Galactus. I don't like, he's not like my favorite Marvel villain or anything like that. I wanted the figure so bad just because I wanted to pose. Like, it was like a dream thing. It's like, man, I'd love to have my Fantastic Four pose fighting him and stuff like that, or just having him hang out, just like having him exist. Man, he's like he's incredible to look at. And hit the button
of him just chilling on your couch is one of my favorite photos I took at the summit.
Dude, and this is what you'll see when I post the final picture. I got him in the shot. I got him in the shot on my desk.
Nice.
Of all my top 10. The way I had to do it is hilarious, but I got him in there.
See, you said you were having trouble taking the picture, and I was like, he's trying to get everybody to like stand on Galactus's shoulders or something.
Not quite, but you'll see. But the thing about figuring out where to put him, because I knew he had to be on there. He literally had to. I was like, fuck it, he has to. But the reason why he's even on the list, truthfully, is how. It's the how. It's because you didn't sell him, because you could have flipped this fucking figure for twice profit. You could have done so many other things, and this was like this figure, me not getting this figure originally, because I had saved up money to back this originally. I was supposed to be like the one extra Galactus that got made. And I had to cancel my pre-order because I got COVID at the time, and a couple other things happened, and it kind of started like one of the worst times of my life. And it was all like, I could really all trace it back to like having to lose out on Galactus and being so excited about getting him. And me just like for a literal year up until his release, I had settled with them. I'm like, yeah, I'll just never get him. That sucks. I'd love to get a Sentinel, but I'll just never get him. And I'm like, yeah, I'll just never get Galactus. I'd love to someday. Maybe if I get super wealthy, I'll just buy him at aftermarket price when I don't give a fuck about stuff. But the fact that the fact that you came down and we had the summit, and we got to do the live unboxing, and we took so many photos and busted so many interesting things out, and he could hold whatever I want, does whatever he wants. He's the size of a toddler, and he can just stand in the corner of the room and still it doesn't matter where I put him, he demands attention. Like it really doesn't matter where he goes.
He is the size of a toddler, and he commands attention like a toddler.
Yeah, and I mean, it's Galactus. It's one of the most successful HasLabs, one of the coolest things to ever happen in like Hasbro toy history.
One of the coolest things to ever happen in comic history.
Yeah. And I'll be damned if he doesn't have some cool ass hands.
I'm so glad you're happy with him, man, and I'm really glad I could facilitate with that. And like now that we're past it, I'll be honest with you, for like a solid day, because I needed the money, and I knew I was going to need it to facilitate the trip. I was thinking about flipping him, but literally at the end of the day, I was like kind of running through my head of like places that it would be like, okay, where would it be best to do that? Do I want to go with this store? Do I want to go with that? Do I know somebody who might want it? And then I remember like, oh shit, Cody canceled his, and we're going to Cody's house in I have to do that. I have to just do that. Yeah, okay. And the fact that we kept it a secret from Chris for so long. Yeah. Oh my god. Because we had I think it was like it was like August or maybe the month before we agreed that I would sell him to you. Yep. And Chris literally never found out until we did our little on the stream. Yep. And yeah, it was really cool to get to experience him. I didn't even put him on my list of stuff I got this year because he was technically my toy for maybe 20 minutes. Yeah. But that was a great 20 minutes, and that was a great weekend overall. Like the summit is a time I will never forget, and I can't wait till we can get the next one going. But do you have anything else to say about him?
I mean, it's incredible. He's incredible. He finally brought me Silver Surfer, and I've wanted a Silver Surfer figure forever. Morg, I thought about putting Morg on the list separately.
Morg is so good, dude.
It's a fucking great toy just to fuck around with. I don't even know who. You know, obviously, I looked up pictures of him in the comic, but I don't even give a fuck. He's just cool.
Yeah. I'm never reading a comic with Morg. I shouldn't say that. I may read a Morg comic one day, but like, never read one before. But like, what a perfect action figure.
Yeah, truly. Yeah. And everything else he comes with is fantastic. All the different faces. His light up function is great, especially if I want to see it at night, because he will literally light up an entire room.
Nice.
And it burns for about 15 minutes and then goes out. So it's a pretty good night light too.
Yeah.
But man, it's a spectacle of a figure.
Okay. Well, my number 3 is nowhere near as cool as Galactus, but it is pretty freaking cool. It is something I'm very happy with and have stayed as happy with the whole time I've had it. It is the Hasbro G.I. Joe Classified Series number 36, Spirit with Freedom. This was the first figure I actually got from this wave. My vintage toy shop got him in early, and I literally bought him just because I wanted freedom, because I wanted to take a picture of Captain America with holding a bald eagle to post on the 4th of July. But I ended up enjoying the package way more than I thought I would, because like when we first got pictures of Spirit, I think everybody thought he was just Duke with a new head, but it's an entirely new sculpt. And the articulation actually it's the same articulation, but it plays way better than it did on Duke. The face sculpt is amazing. The overlays and accessories are so characterful and fun to mess around with, and Freedom's great. Spoilers, Crocmaster is not on my list. I liked Crocmaster a lot, but I think Freedom is my favorite G.I. Joe animal friend that came out this year, because he's just such a solid little eagle guy, and I love messing around with him and changing out his wings and posing him around, and I swooshed him quite a bit this year. And the two of them are one of my favorite G.I. Joe releases of the year. Just really, really solid package. Definitely my favorite of that wave. It's insane. That's the wave that gave us finally classic Storm Shadow, and a character who I honestly hadn't even heard of before this year, or last year, because he was announced last year. Ended up being my favorite of the wave.
Crocmaster isn't on my list either.
Wow. Okay.
But it was really hard to figure out whether or not I was going to put Fiona on the list. Because while I do love Crocmaster, Fiona is one of the coolest things we've gotten
Fiona
ever.
segment. Fiona is fucking amazing. She is
Truly.
great. The reason Crocmaster and her didn't make it onto my list is just like I personally didn't care for Crocmaster that much. Like he's okay, but like he's one of the, I don't want to say lamest, but just like least interesting classified figures this year to me. And so the fact that he was in the same box as Fiona kind of dragged Fiona down a little bit for me.
And that's fair. That's fine.
But Fiona is great. I love her. She's super cool. Great sculpt. Really cool articulation. Friggin' bendy wire tail is super fun. I love just opening and closing her jaw. It's good times. Little babies.
I'm still not entirely sure that Spirit isn't like the same upper body as Duke, though.
No, I've seen like side by side comparisons. The shirt sculpt is completely different.
Wow,
like it's similar, but all the wrinkles and little details are different.
That's impressive. And the figure is phenomenal. I love him so much. I've always loved Spirit. I never had a Spirit as a kid. I did have a Crocmaster. I had the Valor versus Venom Crocmaster, as you saw, that also came with, I don't think that...
With a floaty toy?
Yeah, I don't think it's named or anything like that, but it comes with a little crocodile.
Yeah, he does name all his crocodiles in the comics. I found out he's got like a fucking 1,000 crocodiles in the comics, and they're all named like girl names.
That's cool. Yeah, you're right. That is a completely different sculpt on that shirt. And yeah, that figure is phenomenal, and Freedom is really surprising. One of my favorite things about the whole kit and caboodle is the fact that he comes with a sniper rifle. Love that sniper rifle, and I love his 1911 with the bald eagle carved into the side of it.
And the frickin' the like ceremonial looking knife with the little bird skull on the end of it.
Yeah, it's like a Damascus steel knife, and he's got falconer gloves on, like a fucking badass figure. Like classified. Pretty much didn't miss the entire year.
Diss to the Transformers team that they made a figure of a guy that comes with a bird that can also do the hold the bird on your hand thing, and it's so much better and so much more solid than fucking Siege or Netflix Soundwave's Laserbeak connector.
Yeah, I think he can also go on Megatron if I'm mistaken. But yeah, the figure is rad.
He might. I have not tried that. All right, what is your number 3?
My number 3 is similar to the Marvel Legends Renew Your Vows as far as a like finally type thing, but a gap of significant time. This is a Lego product, and it is Bionicle Borak Tanakh, which is the red one, and it's for anybody else, so you don't have to Google it. It's the Bionicle that turns into a ball. It's those guys, the bad guys, the ones that turn into a sphere. And I got it complete with the canister. If you've never handled the canister before, they actually can turn into a ball and attach to the underside of the canister, the toy packaging. And it looks like, and the way that the packaging with the Bionicle line is described is, or even shown in the comics, by the way, the way that it's shown off is it's like a beehive type thing. It's like something that are lived in. The Bionicles show up and are born essentially in like their canisters, and it's more so with the Borak. They're like a beehive, and they stack like that too. I don't have any of my old. No, I have one other of my old things, but I have all of the other ones still. I have all of the other ones of the Boraks still, and they were like my favorite thing of the Bionicle because they were always so fun to play with, and they have a gimmick to where, which again. Or not again, but like, holy fuck, mad props to Lego for whatever they use for anything that they make. Because the gimmick of this toy, other than going into a ball, is that the front of it is meant to like essentially punch a Bionicle and knock its mask off, and then put its weird little like fleshy mask on and infect the Bionicles.
Yeah, I've seen that in commercials. I've seen that on like YouTube uploads of commercials.
And it's fun to do, but the way it's achieved is with like what it's essentially kind of like a braces rubber band, but it's thicker. Still, even on my old ones, still works. It's a rubber band that stretches around a thing, and it stays in constant stretch, and it still works.
It
This
hasn't
fucking
dried
thing,
up at all?
no.
Holy shit! Lego! Fucking share that plastic formula around, will you?
Even their old Lego tires still work. Like, this guy's been out, and it fucking still works. It just works. I don't understand it either. Just like the day I got him. And that was the thing. I actually owned this figure once before, but I didn't get to open it. My dad's ex-wife bought me a 3-pack whenever they were doing like the bundles, and then she realized that I already owned the other two, and I think it was the white one and the black one that came with the red one. But I wanted the red one so bad, and I remember like pleading with her. She got me that 3-pack from Christmas, and she was like, "Oh well, I'll take it back, and I'll just get you the red one, and I'll get you something else, since you already have these two." And I was like, "No, no, no, it's fine. I want them anyways. I'll just have more of the other ones. I want the red one, blah blah blah." And she took it back and actually never got me another present. And that's a shitty thing to do to a kid, a literal child. And I could never get it again. And like Bionicle things, kind of similar to how like Code Lyoko is for you, I think, with those prices. Some of these fucking Bionicle figures are impossibly expensive to get again. The aftermarket for Bionicles is massive, and I believe the demand is there, and I hope they'll bring it back. But I'm just afraid how they would bring it back.
Well, I think with Code Lyoko stuff, it's just that it's so rare. I mean, like, you only see a few of them on eBay at a time, and they're always for that ridiculous price, and they're always either loose, missing all the accessories, or still in package.
Yeah.
I mean, I had a moment earlier this month where I thought, like, I'm going to be getting some extra money in my holiday bonus. What if I just got myself a little Christmas present? What if I went on eBay and I got myself an Ielita figure? And I looked, and all the Ielita figures were like $80 plus, shipping from countries I'd never spoken to before. And I was like, I'm not doing that. No, thank you.
There's probably a better chance at us getting newer Code Lyoko figures than Bionicle coming back in the way that I'd want it to come back. Because there's a rumor that there's going to be a gift with purchase set at the beginning of 2023, and I'll do whatever I have to get that gift with purchase set. I mean that, because the rumor is you have to spend $150 to get this set. So and that's like you buy $150 of whatever the fuck else on the Lego store to get this set. I literally have to. I have money set aside for that shit.
I have heard the new Star Wars battle packs are pretty good, if that helps.
Oh, well, I mean, I love Lego. All of it's great.
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck what it's going to be that I spend $150 on. It's not going to be hard
you go
to
and
get
grab
there.
some fucking Duplo.
Like it literally doesn't matter. And so the way it works is you have to buy it from the website, though. But there's been leaked images of the gift with purchase set, and it's like the original Tahu, the original good guy, red guy, and like one of the shorter ones. But it's brick built with like mixel joints.
Ooh.
And it's printed pieces, and it looks fine. Like I said, I gotta get it just to show Lego, like, hey, fucking do this. But the reason why we may not ever get more Bionicle is because it's not regular Lego pieces, and it's also not really regular Technic pieces. Bionicle kind of died out because it was a little too expensive for Lego to keep giving us new parts. That's why a lot of the parts were reused in different colors, but they still had to have specialized pieces. And a lot of them were expensive for Lego to produce versus their regular Legos. So if they tried to do regular brick built figures, that might be the way to go, or, it's kind of hard to see how it would come back. But to finally get this figure this year, which I got it at the very beginning, and I got it for $10, which it's not worth $10. Spoiler. Some dude was just selling it randomly, and he had 2 other things that came with it that I also love. But man, this thing slaps. I love it. I love it to death, and I'm so happy to have it, and I'll never get rid of it.
Nice. Well, my number 2 does not quite have that nostalgic quality to it, because this is kind of based in current stuff for me. Well, it's a new toy of a retro character that I got into this year. It is the Bandai SH Figuarts Shinchoku Seiho or true bone carving to those of you who aren't Nihongo Jozu, Kamen Rider Black. This is my one tokusatsu toy on the list this year. And it's not by design. It's just there wasn't a lot of tokusatsu toys I got that really blew me away and were top 10 worthy this year. But even though I know this Black figure came out a couple of years ago, I got it this year because in a lot of ways I feel like this was just the year of Kamen Rider Black for a lot of people. Because we had the remake come out this year. And in the lead up to that, I watched for the first time the original series. I watched the sequel series, and I finished the sequel series just in time for the remake to drop and me to watch that. So I had like the whole fall was like the season of Kamen Rider Black for me. And right smack dab in the middle of that was my local Comic-Con, and one of the things I picked up at that show was this figure. And this is probably the best SH Figure Arts I've ever handled. I've been hypercritical of SH Figure Arts in the past, and I still have the same problem with this that I do all SH Figure Arts I've handled, which is just that it feels a lot more fragile than anything else I buy. I have to treat it with kid gloves. But I feel like that's kind of by design with this release. Like, I feel like they're embracing it here because this is hyper accurate to the actual suit in the show. It actually has like full rubber caps over some of the joints to replicate the kind of organic underbody that the suit in the show had. The articulation is absolutely incredible. Every joint you could possibly want, while still staying true to the kind of awkward sculpt of that original suit. And like, he doesn't come with a crap ton of accessories, but he comes with all the accessories he needs, which is just a shit ton of hands and an extra set of antenna in case you break the ones that he comes with. And he is great. He is literally probably the best possible figure you could make of this design, in my opinion, which is one of the all-time great Kamen Rider suits. Like the original black suit, it's simple, it's clean, it's got a lot of neat little details that don't distract from the overall picture, and it looks fantastic. Like, it's probably the only figure I've ever gotten, and I've just left it in a walking pose for a really long time. Like, I post him around quite a bit for the first week I had him, but the ending of that show is probably one of my favorite things in all of Kamen Rider. The end title sequence, not the actual end of the series. Because it's just, he drives into frame on his bike, and then he gets off it, and he like calmly but deliberately walks towards the camera for 2 minutes solid while this really melancholy but beautiful song plays, and it's like a perfect encapsulation of the mood of that show. So I just have him in this calm walking pose on my shelf, and whenever I look at it, it's like a full reminder of like everything that's great about Kamen Rider Black. I would love to get Shadow Moon and his bike to go with him, but for right now, I am super happy to just have the original, the best, the goddamn amazing man who is Minami Kotaro.
That's cool. I definitely am gonna have to find out a way to look that up. Because I don't know.
I will send you some photos of it.
Did you post any on Instagram?
I probably did. I don't remember though. Here, I'll just send you. I'll put this one in the chat real quick because they've done free versions of this guy in SH Figure Arts. The original from 2009, the renewal from 2013, and the Shinshoku Seiho, which came out just last year. And you can really see how, like, collector toy technology has evolved over the years looking at them.
Oh, wow. Okay, yeah. I look at all the Kamen Rider releases because, like, to me, they look like cool bug robots. And that's shit that I love.
I mean, like, most of them, or at least most of the ones from the era that Black is the, he's technically the last Showa era rider, though there's a couple debatable ones that come after him. All the Showa era ones are like cyborg superheroes.
Yeah. That's definitely a cool figure. I mean, every Kamen Rider I see ends up being like something where I'm like, damn, that's dope as shit. But yeah, I mean, that looks fucking cool. I like the joints.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that and the compound eyes. That thing looks really sharp. I could easily see why you'd pick that.
Yeah.
Well, does that mean it's my turn for my number 2?
Yeah, go ahead, man. Lay it on me.
My number 2 is not a figure.
Oh, shit.
My number 2 is a series of model kits.
Oh.
You might remember me posting some pictures of the 30-minute missions kits that I got that I described as Bandai's answer to Bionicle. But the series is called 30-minute missions. They are non-scale figures, and they're meant to be disassembled and interchanged. And one of the ones that I chose to put up for my top 10 photo was just one of the cooler, big, man, like I couldn't even explain to you, like this thing, these waves, these figures they come out in different colors. There's accessory packs. They're the cheapest things you can get too. Like they're the cheapest thing I collect when it comes to stuff that I actually collect. Because usually a regular kit is like $10 or $15.
Okay.
They're made to be built in about 30 minutes or less. That's why they're called 30-minute missions. And sometimes they do special releases. They do advanced releases, limited colors, limited runs, and stuff like that. They do armor add-ons. All the figures are meant to be able to have like their armor be completely removed too. I have a guy that I have like a Batwing edition that I'll bust pictures out later of that one. But I have like a scuba guy. If you look up some pictures of 30-minute missions, you'll see they've come out with incredible enclosures, things that are going to go great for me to pose with my bats. It's really kind of been one of my favorite things I put my hands on this year. And to my eyes, every single design they do is just a home run. They're fun to handle. They have a bit more sturdiness than regular model kits. They wouldn't really survive if you were like banging them together or something like that. They don't have like the same solid vibe because they are still like model kits. But you really don't need to paint them. You really don't need to panel on them, even though it does heavily benefit them if you do, like as far as the vision or as far as like their aesthetic. But truthfully, without it, I sometimes when I get model kits, I'll be like, damn, I really do need to panel line this, or I should probably get a sticker. But no, for these, I haven't felt the need to do that for any of them. There's effect parts. I couldn't even list you the different packs and different things, and like every time you get a pack, it like amplifies the whole set. Like it amplifies everything else. Getting a single set, you still get options to kind of disassemble and reassemble that one and turn it into whatever you really want to within the parts that are in the box. It's truly been one of my breakaway things, and Bandai just keeps pumping them out. Sometimes they're kind of hard. There's a thing going on right now where Bandai is not really shipping a lot of stuff over stateside as frequently. You can't really find them in stores, but there has been a shocking turnaround where recently I realized that for pretty much accurate prices, because one kind of bad thing is some of these sets will be available in states, but for a more severe price hike. So like a $15 kit might be $22, and that's enough for me not to want to get something. And I don't know, I couldn't really peg down which figure I like the most, whether it be like a Port Nova or an Alto or whatever. I have a box of just the parts. I got a new one in the mail today. I got a new effect kit. I think my favorite would be I forget the name of this one. I have one unbuilt right over here, and that's it's the Port Nova. It looks a lot like a Gundam Zaku. I have it in like 4 different colors right now. But this set has quickly become one of my favorite things I own. This series. So I kind of had to break some rules a little bit and kind of make it the whole thing because I really it really was one of those things where no single figure shines brighter than another one, but having all of them together, like I just love disassembling, reassembling, and putting them together. But if I had to pick, it's going to be the Port Nova, and it would probably be the Scuba Port Nova.
Yeah, those seem really cool. Like I'm pretty adverse to figures that are model kits just because I've had some bad experiences with Star Wars ones, but I I do think those look really neat from what you've shown me of them.
Yep.
Like Gundam has great designs almost across the board, so you kind of can't go wrong there.
Exactly.
All right, well, this is it. My number one favorite figure I bought this year is the Hasbro G.I. Joe Classified Series number 61 Amazon exclusive Kamakura.
That's a phenomenal figure.
Yeah, so we kind of talked about this a little bit with number 10, but when I was a kid, the thing that got me into G.I. Joe was Valor vs. Venom. And I'm aware that Kamakura originates from the Devil's Due comic books, and this figure is more based on that design, but Kamakura was one of the things that really gripped me about that animated movie and made me want G.I. Joe toys. I liked his whole arc of being Snake Eyes' apprentice, of being kind of an underestimated kind of kid who was still learning his way, but he had this really cool weapon that was passed down to him that he could only use when he was in a certain frame of mind. Like that all really sort of gripped me as a kid. And I had his Valor vs. Venom figure as a kid. I had the single pack version, which is a similar color scheme to this, but it's of course a different look. That's similar enough. And I loved that figure. For me as a kid, my G.I. Joe squad was Kamakura, Snake Eyes, Dusty, Televiper, and oh god, what is his name? Night Creeper. And when I am able to complete that lineup in Classified, that will be like that will be a moment where I'll have to consider giving up the line, because it'll be like what left. I've peaked. How can I peak further than this? But we got a ways to go before that. There's at least one guy in that lineup they haven't announced yet. But getting Kamakura this year, because I think a lot of people were kind of down on him, not really that excited for him, because he cost a little more than you'd think he would initially, because he was announced at the same time as a 2-pack, and he was actually $10 more than that 2-pack, and people were like, what? It's a single pack figure. He looks like he's mostly just reused as Storm Shadow. What's going on? Only the torso and the belt are reused as Storm Shadow. He has new legs, new arms, a new head, and I believe one of his weapons is new. He's reusing a lot of weapons from a Storm Shadow and from the Akiko figure from the movie. Oh yeah, his swords are new, but he's using the sheath from the movie Storm Shadow. But he's a fantastic figure. He poses just as good as that Storm Shadow does, but I feel like he tends to pull off some of the poses a little better than the Storm Shadow does. He's got the unmasked head, which looks great, super accurate to that original comic art. And he has a detail that I've literally never seen on an action figure before, which is accurate fucking elbow joint wrinkles. The little piece that's like the back of his double jointed elbow legitimately looks like how an actual person's back of their elbow does. And that fucking blew me away when I noticed that. It is just this perfect whammy of, it's a character that I loved as a kid that's kind of exclusive to my childhood with the franchise. It's not something the 80s or the 70s Joe guys can really relate to unless they stuck with G.I. Joe all these years. It is a good modern update, and it has just this little sprinkle on top that's something I've never seen before with an action figure. It blew me away the first couple days I had it, and it has been a thing that I just consistently want to mess around with ever since. I cannot wait to have my full Ninja collection complete now that I have this guy. I mean, come on, you guys showed that 2-up where announced Jinx already, and then get me my boy Night Creeper. Let's get this team complete, please.
And I mean, you're right. Everything you said about that figure is phenomenal. I've been fucking around with it the whole time you were talking.
Yeah, me too.
I also loved my original Kamakura. You saw my my Valor versus Venom Kamakura with the bike. That's the one that I had.
Yeah.
And I love the ninjas too. I also had this crazy multi-pack that came with another Kamakura that was like the what's the name of their is it the Arashikage, or am I thinking of something else?
That's the name of the ninja clan, the Arashikage.
Yeah. That's definitely not Naruto, right?
No. That would be the Hokage.
Oh, there you go. Okay. So it was like a stand of that, and it came with like just nothing but ninjas. It was like a 6-figure pack. It was one of those.
Oh yeah, they did a bunch of those during the Valor versus Venom era. Those 6-figure packs.
Yeah, and it came with a DVD as well, which I still have. But I mean, I still have all those figures too. But the Kamakura is fantastic.
I should say, I rewatched Valor versus Venom for the first time in like 10 years a couple months ago. It does not hold up. The animation is really, really dated. A lot of the storyline is very hackneyed and predictable, but like there's still some fun little moments in there.
Yeah. My favorite things about that figure are his gauntlets and his shin guards.
Yeah.
The whole shin guard, the whole wraparound part, and his like legs, like man, it's just fantastic.
It's actually sculpted on and not an overlay. Just is so cool.
Yeah, his tattoo is dope. I like that they're squeezing more tattoos. And we're gonna. Oh man, I'm so ready for rock and roll.
Rock and roll, man. That is a wild looking figure.
Yeah, and I don't know, man. This Kamakura is great. It truly is. So is Storm Shadow. It's funny that Storm Shadow and Kamakura are both on our. Oh wait, no, Kamakura is not on my list.
Yeah, Storm Shadow is your honorable mention too.
Yeah, but it's funny that we both had Storm Shadow, and like, I mean, these figures are great. Truthfully, I'd say the winner this year for like toy quality would be Classified.
Yeah, it is. It has kind of been the year of Classified, hasn't it?
Yep.
And I am just real quick going to put in the group chat my my group shot for this year.
Okay, let me take a picture, or let me take a look at that before I say what mine is. That is a really good group shot. I love that.
Yeah.
Are you ready to hear mine?
Yes.
I said it a year ago, anyways. And yeah, I mean, yeah, it literally was. And like, so there was a couple things, and like, really, like, I tried to be as non-biased as possible. I'm not lying when I say that. I tried to be. I'm like, all right, well, if something beats it, it's gonna beat it.
Dude.
It is the fucking G.I. Joe Classified Cobra Bat. Let me. I don't even know what number it is.
Absolutely goddamn nobody. But yes, the Bat is a fantastic figure. It actually killed me that I couldn't fit it on my list anywhere. It is like I said last year, one of the figures on my list was my favorite army builder. No, fuck the Bat is this new Bat is the best army builder figure that has ever been made. Do not fucking at me.
And so, like, just. I love everything. It's like the Cobra Bat is one of my favorite like toys. I have like other versions of this toy, and it always ends up having like the swappable forearms, which I love so much. I love putting like double blaster arms on a figure. I love having the 2 crab claws. The original release of the figure, the number 33, I think it is, came with the battle damage plate and the battle damage head, the backpack. Everything about this figure is phenomenal. It poses amazingly. It's sturdy. It's great. I was so overhyped about this figure. I was like, it's going to be the best thing. And then I get it, and it is.
I still feel bad that I found it before you, though. Because I found one, like, back in January, February. Maybe March. I'm not sure. And then, like, I never saw them on regular store shelves again. I ended up, I bought 2 on vacation. I bought 2 from famous YouTube man TJ Omega at his local toy store. And then I bought a 4th one from my local vintage toy store the week after. So I have 4. I'm happy with a squad of 4 regular ones, but I do want to get Python Patrol and a Crimson one to kind of be like Commander standout guys.
So here was the honorable mention that I changed at the last minute because it was going to spoil it if I had to say it when I was going to. My number 2 was going to be every Crimson Bat or every Cobra Bat that I don't own yet, regardless of like version. My favorite like Cobra Bat toy is this one, is the original 33. Before that, it was the Jungle Bat from the 30th anniversary, and that Jungle Bat came in a Jungle Deco with a minigun, and it was the first minigun I had at the 3 3/4 inch scale. That figure is phenomenal. This figure is better in every way. If I would have found
even just those arms, those fucking forearms with the fucking Terminator ass like pistons and shit sculpted in.
Yeah. I was gonna be a little coy, and if I would have found a Crimson Bat in time, I was gonna make my 1, 2, and 3. The Crimson Bat, and then the Python Patrol Bat.
Oh man.
Obviously, I haven't got the Crimson Bat yet. The Crimson Bat looks phenomenal. It's better than the Python Patrol. The colors are amazing. But one of the other things that kind of detracted me from, like, aside from just like completely throwing away a number 2 and 3 spot as a joke, the Python Patrol Bat doesn't come with the extra chest, and it doesn't come with the extra head.
Yeah, that's one of the things that initially turned me off to it. I think that's really lame.
And I kind of get, like, I get the trade-off and the absolutely beautiful chest piece that comes with the Python Patrol thing. And like the paint apps on this figure. The Python Patrol figure is great. And he actually has more paint apps on his like little claws and stuff, and like his little gun piece, and his or his little blast arm and his other thing. But I mean, it's my favorite figure to play with. It has been all year. I love it more than anything else I own right now, just about.
Like I said, it is the go-to army builder for figure photography, I feel like now. Like, not just G.I. Joe, you can put that with almost any other 6-inch line, and it just works as like a cannon fodder guide to get the shit kicked out of or be overwhelming a character. Yeah.
Having like the thing throw him around or Hulk smash him, it just looks right. Just putting it up against just about anything just looks right.
I've had my Power Rangers fighting him in some recent photos on my Instagram, and it looks great.
Yeah. He looks great up against Iron Man characters. He looks great up against just about anybody. But he
makes a great replacement for the shitty Black Series battle droids.
Oh, God. Man. The day they make a super battle droid in the Black Series is going to be the day. Like that figure will have to be my number one.
I'm so hoping that the Magna Guard that they name revealed ends up being good and selling like hotcakes, so that they'll get back to doing fucking droid Clone Wars boys.
Yeah. But I mean, I think you kind of knew that this was going to happen. You might have been thinking
you've been saying it literally since that figure that was announced. You were like, it's not fair. Nobody else could possibly be number one.
Yeah. And I mean, that was kind of the controversial thing, is it beat out Galactus for me. But again, like I said, I tried to come at this from every angle. I'm like, all right, if I find something that I like more than the Bat, I'll be fair. I'm not going to, just do it just because I said I was going to do it last year. But no, this fucking figure is phenomenal.
Yeah.
And I will buy multiple of every other color that they make. I'm going to get probably one more Python Patrol just because I'm going to have an officer. I might have 2 officers, a Viper, and then 2 Bats. Or I might just have a Viper, an officer, and then 2 Bats.
Currently, for army builders that are coming that I haven't gotten yet, I'm planning to get 2 Crimson Guards, a Crimson Bat, a Crimson or a Python Patrol Bat, a Python Patrol Viper, and then I want to get 2 copies of that Blue Ninjas 2-pack. I think I'm going to skip the Python Patrol Officer. There's something about his shirt that just is a little too garish for him.
And it's the garishness of the shirt that makes me want him the most. Which is funny. But so the other thing is I only have 1 Cobra Commander, and that is the
the goddamn the Televipers. I'm getting 4 Televipers with Trouble Bubbles. Yeah. That is happening.
Well, I'm gonna keep buying regular bats too. I just haven't had like disposable income to throw away yet. Like 2 more $20 bats, but every time they go on sale, I buy 1 or 2. But I'm gonna get a bunch of the Crimson Guard bats because that was the other thing too. I didn't put it as an honorable mention because it's probably going to go on next year since I'm probably going to get it in 2023. But the Crimson Guard,
he looks so good.
Yeah, no, that I have always loved the bats, and I've always loved the Crimson Guard design. So the Crimson
I'm very
Bat,
tempted to get 2 regular Crimson Guard and get 2 Walmart Crimson Guard, but I think it might just come down to whichever version I find first and only get
yeah.
2 of that.
But see, the other thing is the Cobra Commander I have is the first exclusive they did. The one that
Oh
comes
yeah,
in the
that's right.
beautiful
You have
pack.
Snake Supreme.
Yep.
Oh, I want Snake Supreme so bad. Snake with cream cheese.
And back whenever they were doing like the 30th anniversary of like the GI Joe line, they had these cool 3-packs where they had like the Iron Grenadier 3-pack that came with like Destro and 2 Grenadiers. They had like the regular troops, which was like Rock and Roll and like somebody else and somebody else. They had Cobra Commander bright blue with 2 Cobra officers, and then they had a different Cobra Commander, I believe, and then they had the Crimson Guard, which was all red Cobra Commander with 2 Crimson Guard. And that's always been, I love bright blue Cobra Commander, but I don't got to worry about that because I technically own one. It's just not going to be here for a little while.
Yeah.
But I like the red getup for old Cobra Commander, anyways, and that figure is just phenomenal, even though it's been laying on its back for most of this year. But I kind of do that just because I don't want to have to dust the other side of the cape.
I mean, you can just say Serpentor usurped him, and he's just stuck that way now. That's his life.
Yeah. But I'd say Classified definitely wins this year. Like I said, I could have easily had to fucking sweat over making a top 10 Classified figures this year, But it's Cobra Bat. It was always going to be Cobra Bat, unless some fucking out-of-pocket crazy-ass thing came out this year, which didn't really happen.
Get like a third-party import hyper-articulated bat.
Maybe if they made like if anybody made a good. Oh, so here's the thing: whoever gets the fucking Super Battle Droid figure first, that's gonna be the thing. That's gonna be my favorite thing. That is my favorite robot design of like all time.
Yeah.
And nobody's made a good figure of it. I own all the good figures.
The fact that they were like a major part of Mando Season 1 and didn't get a figure immediately after that in Black Series shows there is something wrong with that fucking Hasbro team.
No, I don't think it's the team. I think it is the design. There's been other people. So like they've done sideshow battle droids, but they have not done a super battle droid yet. They're supposedly doing one this year, and I'm buying that. That's going to be my first fucking sideshow figure. I bought a Galactus now, so it doesn't fucking matter. I used to be like, I was like, oh my god, a sideshow is really like the adult collector thing, but like, nah, dog.
Scale, dude.
I know. Well, I just need it first. I need something that's gonna be amazing. It's gonna be great if it ever gets done. I have the I don't know what line this is, but this one is. I have like a mitten box. The Super Battle Droid where he's like on fire.
Yeah.
The 3 3/4 inch thing.
I had a couple 3 3/4 inch Super Battle Droids as a kid.
Oh yeah. One of my other favorite toys is the Super Battle Droid who could explode apart, and he had the replaceable arm that was the rocket launcher.
So that's kind of in the realm of hypothetical, but like I guess to kind of wrap up here, what is like 1 or 2 things you're super excited for next year that's already been announced?
Every G.I. Joe classified figure. And then the Trouble Bubble.
Yeah.
And
they fucking got me, man. I would have bought just one Televiper because to me, Televiper was just a guy when I was a kid. But the fact that they packed it in with the Trouble Bubble, it's like, well, I need at least 3 Trouble Bubbles for freaking Cobra Commander, Destro, and Baroness to hang out in. So I guess I'll get 4 because if I'm army building, I have to get at least 4. That's my rule.
Yeah, and for me, my favorite GI Joe vehicle, small vehicle, is the Trouble Bubble. Mm-hmm. Favorite regular vehicle is the His Tank. My favorite like fictional vehicle, I think, is the His Tank.
Nice.
So I'm excited to get the His Tank next year, but I already paid for that, so it's going to be weird. It's going to be better, as I'm sure it was kind of like Galactus at first for you, where it's like I paid for this a year ago and now it's just here.
Yeah,
a year is such a short amount of time and such a long amount of time too.
It is. It's crazy to think about just how much shit happened this year and how much of a different life situation I am in now than I was at the end of last year.
Mm-hmm.
But like a couple things I'm really looking forward to next year. Uh, Again, fucking Televipers and Trouble Bubbles, gotta have them. Man, I can't wait to get my hands on Hotshot. I know he's already cropping up in the U.S. I need the boy. I need that fucking boy.
If I would have found him yesterday, I would have put him on the list legitimately.
And I wouldn't have blamed you.
Yep.
Like, I'm so glad I never caved and went and hunted down the Universe one, because like it's not a bad toy from everything I know about it, but like it looks so clunky compared to the Legacy one. I'm so excited for the Legacy one.
You're comparing a decade's difference, I think, but
yeah. The Zap Astro Megazord looks insane. Cannot wait. Trying to think. Any Marvel Legends coming currently that I'm insanely like gotta have? I mean, like the Scorpion and Beast and all those boys who are out now. I just don't have. Black Panther. I really wanted that new classic Black Panther, and I almost bought it at the summit. I just decided not to because we hadn't even really begun yet. Me and Boingo were just dicking around in a Walmart, and I found it, and I said, "Nah, I'll wait until we're all together." And then it wasn't anywhere. I didn't buy any Legends at the summit. Is there a Star Wars figure coming out next year that I want? I mean, there's that whole Clone Wars wave that they announced names for. If those look as good as I hope they will, I will probably really want those. I'll probably get 4 clean Phase 2 clone troopers because that is my favorite trooper design. I really hope they're going with Season 4 Ahsoka. That's my favorite Ahsoka design, but they kind of messaged us. We don't know if it's going to be Season 1 or Season 4. And the Magna Guard sounds cool, and I think there was one other figure in that wave, but I don't remember it right now. I'll remember it as soon as I post this. But next year's going to be a pretty good year for toys. I don't know how much I'm actually going to get. Like, those are the things that I'm like, do or die, have to have. But I do want to scale back my purchasing a whole lot next year, just because, like, I've got quite a bit of credit card debt, and I would like to make a dent in it. And I would like to have that dent stay there for once. Because I've made dents in it in the past, and then life shit has always fucked that up. So if it means, like, kind of scaling back, buying toys to, like, only once every couple months when I find something I really, 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 really want, then that's what I'm going to do, because I'll talk more about this on the last week's components for the listeners. The components we're recording tomorrow for us, but I'm really taking a lot of mental steps to prepare to get my shit together next year, relatively speaking. And not spending as much money as I did on toys this year, next year is one of those things. Like, I'm sure we will still do this next year. I'm sure I will still have more than 10 toys to talk about next year. But I would like to maybe cut the amount of purchases I made this year in half next year. That's kind of my big goal. But we'll see. I may actually double it next year. Well, who knows what's going to happen? But I think that is it. That is all we can say. That is 4 hours of us talking about toys that came out this year. I hope everybody enjoyed it. I hope everybody had a great year of toy collecting, because I think we did. Post your top 10 in the comments below. Let us know what some of your favorite toys you got this year were. I'd be interested in hearing it, and I'd really love for you to help us out in the algorithm that way. And I'd love for you to help us out by liking this video, subscribing to the Modular channel, ringing that bell to enable notifications, following us on Twitter at The Modular Media, on Tumblr at Modular Media, and joining the subreddit r/Modular Media. And I'd like for you to check out our individual stuff. So, Cody, where can people find you on the internet?
People can find me at never_robot on Instagram.
Don't you have a Twitter and a Tumblr too?
Oh, I do have a Tumblr. I think my Tumblr is also never_robot. Or no, it's robot greater than human.
The @ is Snowburke. I've added you a couple times on the Modular account.
So it might be Snowburke. I've had that Tumblr for a while, and I use it intermittently, I think. And then my add-on in Twitter, I think, is like Snowcone83.
Yeah.
But Most importantly, it's going to be never_robot, and I do have a lot of toy photography I need to get to posting, actually. Mm-hmm. I have my hands on as you saw, I got Armada Starscream.
Yeah, need that boy.
He's pretty good. I think Jahaxis is a better figure.
Yeah, I'm not expecting him to be like the best figure ever, but as long as he's like at least a little better than the Generations one, I'll be happy. Because I've handled both the original Armada Starscream and the Generations one, and I like them both for different reasons, but I feel like the Legacy one is going to be the one I've always wanted. But
it's great. It truly
we'll see if it is next year. Until then, hey everybody, I'm the Vacuuminator. I make video essays about Tokusatsu. You can watch those at youtube.com/thevacuuminator. You can follow me on Twitter until it goes under at the Vacuuminator. When it goes under, you can follow me on Tumblr at the Vacuuminator. And you can check out my figure photography on Instagram at @_Vacuuminator. But folks, that is it for this episode of Modular Components. Thank you for hanging out with us this week. Thank you for hanging out with us all year, really, because this is probably going to be the final episode that gets released this year. We will see you in 2023. Stay safe, stay happy, stay collecting, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.